Look at my horse is amazing. Give it a lick.
What up, stream? Welcome to another Tuesday painting stream. Dr. Rhino inspiring my little stream song. How you guys doing this lovely Tuesday? Mike Tuhan says the minis arrived. I'm assuming you're referring to the Wood Elf miniatures. Safe and sound. Thank you very much. You're very welcome. I'm glad that they got to you safe and sound. How was the packaging? Was it well packed? Nothing got damaged? I mean, I'm assuming not because you said safe and sound. What up, Chris? Glad to hear you're on a painting streak, my brother. We are painting Neferata's Dread Abyssal today. We're gonna try to mess with some of that super saturated red oil paint that I mentioned last stream to do like some oil washes on all the skeleton, like the internal skeleton heads that the Dread Abyssal has. I'm gonna do a little bit more painting on the beast's forearms because there were some skulls that were like in the forearms that were kind of hard to not like totally annihilate with black paint. So I'll have to repaint those briefly, and then we'll get into the oil wash and just kind of see what happens. Metatorium, thank you for the sub, appreciate it. It is hot outside. Vampirus 66, thank you for the sub, appreciate it. How you guys doing today? I just received my Ranger and Brush Coffin. Thank you. You're welcome, Blood Clot Plots. Happy to hear that stuff's getting sent out. I know North America and South American recipients should start getting their stuff pretty soon. The rest of the world, Australia and EU, is still we're still pending on those ones. The models are done and stuff, and everything's sent out, but we're having to communicate with the English fulfillment office, and everything always takes longer when your partners are in England because they're in a different time zone and they don't respond for half the day. Or
I thought you were going to say because they're lazy.
Yeah, that too. English people are lazy. Doing well, working on some Gen Con entries. When is Gen Con?
2 months?
2 months? Okay.
Ish.
You got some good amount of time then. You know, Evan, have you thought at all about what the differences are between a miniature war game and a board game?
Yes.
I had a thought. Is there a plan to, oh, absolutely, the Spain of Plastic. Absolutely gonna have those Wood Elves and the brush box on the web store. I watched a Jeff Engelstein GDC talk recently about randomization. And he described largely topics about randomizers, which are like tile flips, dice, as we're all very familiar, being miniature war players. And he described multiple kinds of randomness that those dice, or like those kinds of randomizers, give to a game. We talked about input and output randomness, pink, brown, and white noise randomness. It's really interesting. But the one thing that I thought stood out and was like, that is the kind of thing that almost defines a miniature war game. And he even brought it up in his chat, was that there's a lot of output randomness. So the game state input is static, and you want to do something, and in order to determine if you can do it, you have to roll a die to see if it happens. And so you're not fully, like you don't fully know what the output is going to be, which is output randomness. Input being, I want to play a game of Warcry, but I have no idea what the scenario is going to be. And so I shuffle a deck of cards and I draw one. That's input randomness. I was curious if most miniature war games lean heavily into output randomness, having all of their actions gated by dice rolls, and if that was like a particularly wargaming thing.
I am going to push back on that and say that I don't think that that's what defines wargaming in contrast to other types of gaming.
Gotcha. Well, one thing of many. Painting Monkey, thank you for the Prime sub. I'm 75% done with my crisis suit. Oh, nice. Can't wait to batch paint the other 6.
Nothing but robots. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be a bad feeling when like you. Yeah, I mean, I know that feeling. It's like the same thing. It's like the same feeling you get when like you paint NMM on an axe and like you paint like one half of the axe and you're like, oh man, that was amazing. And it took a long ass time. Then you gotta flip the model over. You gotta do the other side of the axe. Like, welcome to the real world, hobbyist. Everything's mirrored. It's the same thing when I was painting Fade, that big display model from Heroes of New Earth. The design, the sculpt was basically symmetrical, and so every, even the shoulder pads were symmetrical, like left and right and front and back. So when I painted when I painted one half of the shoulder pad, I basically had to do that exact same thing 3 more times. And it was just like, ugh.
Reaper's showing us the love, rating with a party of 33.
What up, Reaper? Thanks for the raid, guys. What are you guys painting in the stream? Yo, sup? Hey, Route the Great. If there's a deck building aspect, is drawing card an input or an output randomness? It is a input randomness because, say in Flesh and Blood, when you end your turn and you draw up to 4 cards or whatever your intellect is, you now have nothing you did prior to drawing those cards affected the cards you drew mostly, and so you have this new fresh game state, and now you have to figure out what you want to do with it. And so that's an input randomness. I didn't say that in the video about the game design. If you're confused about what I'm talking about, I made a video describing the kind of game that I want to make, a tabletop game. But I didn't say this, but I don't want there to be deck building and randomization through card draw in my game. There's already games that do dueling with miniatures with that as its primary randomness generator. I want you to have like a predetermined move set that you built by building your character, and then the randomness comes from the dice rolling. If you're curious about what game does do card building or card deck building with miniatures, dueling on a board, Evian is a great example. Another great example that's way more lightweight is Unmatched. Both really good games. Peepo Comfy, thanks for the sub.
It's not dueling, but it's pretty close. Super Fantasy Brawl also falls into that kind of category.
Yeah, so I thought people were gonna get me on the Evian thing because I said like this game doesn't exist yet. Like, let me know if it does. And I forgot to mention Evian, but no one mentioned it. But a lot of people mentioned Super Fantasy Brawl. A lot of people mentioned Inquisitor as well. I've never even looked at the rules for that game, but I am curious. This mini looks like it will break when the breast touches it. Yeah, basically. That's basically what it is. Suspended on a bouncy plastic springy tail. Just waiting to get snapped. But yeah, I figured I'd bring up the output randomness thing because when Jeff Engelstein brought up output randomness, one of the biggest examples he mentioned was war games. And so I wondered if that was like a observation he had made in his game comparison, that a lot of war games like to use that. Obviously, there are other things that define a miniature war game, but I will say it's getting harder and harder to differentiate war games from board games, but it is an interesting question.
Well, I think that rules-wise, the line between the two is basically non-existent. If you ask a bunch of different people, you will get a bunch of different responses about what rules should be included in this, but not in this, regards to miniature board game versus miniature war game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the distinction is one of ownership and economics. So a board game generally lives in one place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you mean like it stays in the box?
Not even necessarily it stays in the box, because you have expansions and stuff, and that's pretty normal. There are some board games and card games for which, there are 10 plus expansions, right?
Right.
But generally, you don't bring your expansion to your friend's board game. Unless it's like, oh, they just don't own this expansion. It is something that we all share together. It is not, I brought my expansion that I can play with and you can't. Whereas that's kind of what defines a war game, in my opinion.
Yeah. We bring things and together both of our collections that represent the game we're playing.
Exactly. Not one person doesn't necessarily just own a game. It requires two different inputs and two people to come together with pieces of the puzzle.
Interesting. Chris says he's currently painting Frigga from the Blood Rage Asgard expansion. I found your video painting Queen Guinevere super helpful. Oh, that's wonderful. One thing you could do is to make something similar to Saga's battle boards. Each character has X number of moves and some basic actions. And at the start of the turn, you roll dice to see what you can trigger that turn. That's all expandable card games too. What's an expandable card game? What's an example of that? Freaking out.
I think he means like non-regular, like deck builder in a box type games, like the new Star Wars one or the Transformers deck builder or whatever, where we all get together and we have one shared pool of cards.
Okay.
And yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, like a TCG or whatever, where you're buying boosters or buying preset packs to put together your thing and bring it somewhere to play against someone else who has done the same thing.
Arkham Horror, Netrunner. So a living card game. Or I don't know if Arkham Horror is a living card game. I assume it is because it's Fantasy Flight. And that's kind of what they do. I've never seen Fantasy Flight make a CCG, although I'm sure they have. But they kind of seem to only do living card games. Minotaurium, yeah, that's definitely an idea. I have no idea what the actions are going to look like. I had one idea that I wrote down in my journal. The hard thing is that you're trying to take something that's very real time and turn it into a tabletop experience, like super zoomed in. And you can do that in a miniature wargame where it's like armies or squads versus one another, because you can just like dissolve combat into I rolled a hit, I rolled a wound, or any kind of combat mechanism. But when you like really zoom in, it's like challenging to like maintain the intensity, because like, like a fighting game is like all about reaction speed and a lot of that. And so how do you kind of like maintain that same, that same kind of frenetic energy that combat has? And the first idea I had was to have like a ladder, where like each rung of the ladder is like a time step, and it's like, okay, a rogue character can do an action every 2 rungs of the ladder, and a barbarian can do an action every 5 rungs of the ladder. And so we kind of go through the ladder rungs, and it's like, okay, we're at step 2, now I can do something. All right, we're at step 10, now the barbarian can do something. And sometimes you have simultaneous actions, and sometimes the one person just gets to do something, and the other person doesn't have an opportunity to do something. So that's kind of like a ladder-based system. Another one that I found that I lifted from was a German RPG that I wrote the name down of. I can't remember the name, but what they do is they have actions that just costs time. And so if you've ever played Patchwork does this really well, where like if I do my thing and I'm still behind you on the initiative scale, I get to go again, and I get to keep going again until my pawn passes your pawn. So similarly with like moves that would cost you time. Say I do a big axe swing that costs you 5 units of time. Put my pawn on the 5 space. And now I'm a rogue. I'm gonna do a jab, 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 and each one of those actions costs me 2 time slots. So and the third jab, I'm now past your pawn. I'm on time slot 6. So now the barbarian gets to go again because that person had spent the time and is now past them. That's kind of a patchwork esque idea, but there's a lot of ideas. It's super fun to look at other games and try to figure out how to figure out what real-time combat looks like. It is a living card game. Okay, cool. It's a great board game called Redneck Life, where the player who goes first is the one with the biggest feet. Yeah. That's fun. You could go for something like shatter points, momentum / score tracking. For victory points, I think it's a fantastic system. But again, yeah, I don't. I'm not even like making any choices yet about what anything is gonna look like. At the moment, it's all about R&D. I'm just trying to figure out what the ideas are out there. Like I've looked into real-time games, like Boggle is a real-time game, but there are so many. Like Simon makes a real-time game where you're just rolling dice as fast as humanly possible to like kill like a zombie invasion. I think it's called like Project Elite, maybe. So I'm trying to consider like, you know, can a real-time mechanism be put into this game at all? If it does, what does it look like? Is it a phase of the game so it's not super annoying? Is it the entire game? Is it a large portion of it? Or like what's a skill shot look like in a board game? You know, like a skill shot in a video game is very clear and obvious, but like what does that look like in a board game?
Well, I mean, here's what you do: is you get figures that have like little spring-loaded missile launchers. You know, like old school action figures, baby. And if it hits, it hits, and if it doesn't, well, you have to spend an action to reload it.
Yeah. So that was also my interpretation of real time. It was like literally. I was like, what if there was like a rectangle on the table and you had to like drop your card into the rectangle? And it's like, people would like buy certain sleeves to like weigh their cards down. I was like, this is terrible. So I was just like, but it's an interesting question though. It's just like, how do you translate that? Because I think that's a thing in fighting games. Well, maybe not in fighting games. There's no skill shots in fighting games, right? You kind of lock onto a target and you're just swinging at that person no matter what. I like Cards Against Humanity's Who Has Pooped the Most Recently mechanic. There you go. I broke the curse. Rufus bet on me and I won. Sorry, not sorry. I won my last 3 games of the Escalation League because I'm a champion.
Hey, I'm undefeated in Flesh and Blood.
Nice. Torpedo Run. Best board game ever. You had to fire discs out of a submarine to sink your opponent's ship. Oh, what was that other? I played this game with my nieces and nephews that I bought for them where it's like you're firing cannonballs into a castle trying to like topple goblins inside of it. That was a pretty fun game.
That paint is very red.
I know. I can't wait to effectively panel line with it. We're pretty thin. I think I want to go even thinner. It's hard to know how far you can go, really. Weapons and Warriors is the game, 1993. The interesting part about this is that the red is going to be more saturated. The panel lining red is going to be more saturated than the dark shadowy red on the bottom of the skull. So it's actually going to like, it will also collect in the eyeballs of these dark red skulls and look brighter. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a thing.
It's a true thing.
It's a true thing. What up, Almighty Spaz? No glasses today. Yeah, when I stream and when I paint models, I wear contacts just so my glasses don't get in the way. How do you feel about head-to-head dice rolling? 1's a fail, 2, 3's a defense, 4 to 5 is an attack, 6 is a crit. The fights start on a model. The fight stat on a model is how many dice are rolled. So like you're kind of both hitting each other at the same time. That's what you're suggesting. As a thought says, he wants the POV through the glasses.
He wants to be Scott.
All right, let's try this out. Let's try this out maybe on like the rib cage, just to see what's gonna.
Nice inconspicuous area. Oh my god!
Ah! Yeah, I like want it to like collect in the eye sockets, in between the skulls, in the mouths and stuff, but like not really anywhere else. I mean, kind of hard to tell exactly if it's working out, but like, I think that'll be pretty good once I like start wiping it off and stuff.
So I think the idea behind the Bushido bidding system is a very interesting one. You know, where you choose how many of your dice are attack and how many are defense.
That is cool, yeah. I think that definitely has some chops.
I just wonder if it should be dice.
As opposed to like not even just like D10s, but like something else entirely.
Yeah.
Like I have cards in front of me that are face down, and like flip them one at a time or something like that.
Yeah, or you allocate, like if you had like you have a specific suite of numbers, right? Both players have, let's say a pool of a 3, a 2, and a 1. So you can do an even split between attack and defense by allocating the 3 to one of them and the 2 and the 1 to the other. Or you can try and imbalance it to get attacks through. Or to defend.
That's not a bad idea. Leaf Painting says, yes, both heat fight at the same time. Your attacks versus their defense. Crits always go first. Yeah, I think you could do that. I think up until this point, I've been like thinking that it is one player's turn to go, and they are activating, and then their activation starts a chain of combat of some kind. So it's like, it's my turn. I'm going to perform one action. If my action is to hit you, now we're going to go into this like combat phase where like I'm attacking, you're reacting, I'm attacking, you're reacting, you're attacking, I'm reacting. Okay, once that chain is done, whatever it looks like, now it's the other player's turn and they can choose to take an action. Maybe that action is more defensive, maybe it's moving away, maybe it's preparatory, maybe it's also hitting back, and then the chain happens again. I'm saying chain because I'm thinking of the Flesh and Blood combat chain, but not really necessarily related to that. But yeah, it could be simultaneous. I don't know. At what point could you take perks to change the what each face of the dice could do? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think I want there to be tech trees. I want there to be gear that you equip. Like from an aesthetic standpoint, it's really cool to have tech trees. Because say you had I'm gonna speak in World of Warcraft terms. Say you had a warrior that you can't like day one drop for this game has like a arms warrior in it and like a Death Knight, a Blood Death Knight in it. And then like later on you release individual sets of a Fury Warrior, and now it's a new model. And so it's a cool opportunity to like reskin the character to show a different tech tree. So I think I would love to include that kind of thing. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But I think you guys are and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're thinking too zoomed out. It shouldn't just be roll a die to see if you hit someone. I think it needs to be more complicated than that. Just because I think that will get boring if it's a dueling game. I think the combat needs to be incredibly engaging, and so there needs to be lots of feints, shoves, like shield breaks, like big swings, small swings. And I think it should be more like, I'm gonna hit you. It doesn't matter if I roll a die. It's going to hit you. Like, I'm a professional fighter. I'm not going to call in a question that I know how to like at least hit this giant hulking figure in front of me with my blade. The question is, what happens? Does it get blocked? Does the blade slide off somewhere? Does it the opening get damaged? Like, who knows? Like, there should be like a miss in 40K in all of GW's games is basically representing that. And so I think we should zoom in more to kind of like have more fun with like the results. How do you make all those different moves something other than rock, paper, scissors? I don't know. I think my novice answer is by adding more complexity to the game other than my outcome beats your outcome. Goodbye, brush.
Well done.
Lazy Couch, thank you for the sub. Have I tried Dice Throne? I have not, where your characters have different moves and you can roll a pool of dice to match up the dice needed for a particular move. Kind of like Yahtzee, kind of like a lot of games that use Destiny dice pools. I like the idea of action cards face down. Nice. You know what's better than WoW terms? Diablo terms. Limb damage. Yeah, one of my Gomez, one of my patrons, he recommended to me some RPGs that focus a lot on it's called HEMA style combat, which is like medieval Renaissance period European sword fighting. And it's called The Riddle of Steel, and it has like a really interesting and engaging combat system. I'm just gonna wash all the skulls. Another one that I found was called Mithras. Another one was called Sword of Songs, or Sword and Songs. Sword and Scoundrel is another one. So I want to pick up these rule books to kind of see what does a combat focused RPG look like. You know, how could that inspire the system? Can you target individual limbs? Is that a thing I want to do? I have no idea. Yeah, single person versus single person. I am very aware of the problem of, like, you know, you just running into the middle of a field and just let's roll dice forever and then nothing else happens. I don't want it to feel like that. Like chess feels cool. I want the game to feel like chess, but with one model. It's like, how do you do that? Like, what does that even look like? Well, like now, instead of there being physical pieces, it's like your moveset. Those are your chess pieces. But it's like, what is that? You know, how does that play out? I have no idea, but it's very cool to think about. And I love all the suggestions. So like, if you guys are okay talking about it, I would love to keep talking about it. It's like literally all I'm thinking about right now. This one brought the BattleCon system. I've never heard of it. HEMA equals UFC with swords. Exactly, Mike Genie. But with a focus on historical accuracy. That is the main difference between, like, say, HEMA and fencing. Fencing doesn't necessarily care about how, like, those weapons were used in antiquity. They just care about the fastest way I can get to get a point. To stab you. Adric Knight with the sub. What up, Adric Knight? Yes, I don't want cards in a randomness sense, but I wouldn't mind cards as like a player aid or like
fixed resource.
Exactly, that or that.
I have 7 cards to spend. I always have these 7 cards.
That is fine.
I choose.
That is fine. And I guess there could be some kind of deck building element where it's like I pick a certain tech tree and that tech tree gets me access to these cards. I guess that's deck building. But yeah, the only reason why I wanted to avoid that, not because I don't like it. I don't mind Underworlds. I don't mind those games, but I think there's a game out where it does that pretty well in Evian, and I don't want to recreate it. Also, I just want there to be something different. I think it's a kind of an interesting question to ask. Chess with one model, isn't that Rock'em Sock'em Robots?
Yeah, that's real time.
Yeah, it is. What if you have an objective that moves and so both players are moving around? D&D's origin is a war game. You are right. Chainmail, I believe, was what it's called. Yeah, Gloomhaven has an interesting card-based combat system. You are right. It has there's an initiative on the card and stuff like that. It's interesting. After watching the video last night, I'm writing down all my ideas for one game. I think I have something not bad. Oh, very cool. Could remove particular abilities depending on how injured that body part is. Exactly. You know, or it could like reduce the strength of an attack. Yeah. Very cool.
Azathoth, the odds are high. That's what I have to say.
Of what?
He said, what are the odds that Scott accidentally recreates Battletech but medieval? So when Vince was last in town here about a year ago, that exact thing was said by Vince.
Really?
Yeah, when we were talking about the idea of a dueling game with you were like, I really want detailed like damage where you could like lose an arm and or you know, like these sorts of things. And Vince was like, yes, Battletech has these things.
Yeah, maybe. Just Seppuku, so thanks for the sub. When is the collaboration with Miscast gonna happen? It's gonna happen in July. That's the plan. A lot of board game advice I've read about designing your own game says that you should be making multiple games, even multiple games at one time. It's actually a little bit disheartening when I listen to these podcasts like One Stop Co-op Shop or the business pod game, the board game business podcast.
You got there.
I got there. Or Ludology. I've been listening to a couple of episodes from these board game people, and like a lot of these guys are like, I've published like 100 games. No, sorry. I've published like 12 games, and I've made like 100. And it's like, fuck, like, kind of sucks. And I bet you guys can relate to this feeling where it's like, I think I have this really cool idea for a game that I really want to see like succeed, but it's like, what are the odds that I make a game that's good on my first shot? It's like almost like a waste. I'm gonna do it anyways. But
that's why you just make a second edition of the game, because you realize that the first one was shit. You need to redeem yourself and make the same thing but better this time.
Yeah, I guess so. That's no reason why I couldn't do that. But yeah, that's going through my head right now. But I'm too excited. I don't care. Twisted Fables. It's a one-on-one game that's obscure but had a fun card play combat system. I'm willing to even listen or like look at card play combat systems. I'm going to look at any game because any game can inspire, right? Like even if it uses cards, I can still glean something from it. Like Flesh and Blood has stuff to glean from. Like we've mentioned it before, but there's tempo in that game. I spend energy to hit you. You have less energy to hit me back. That's just a concept. I don't need to have cards in my game to have that concept. Or another concept that I love about Flesh and Blood is they created the game with a large design space. You have this thing. You have the arsenal. You have the banished zone. You have the graveyard. You have a character's soul. You have all these things, but like not every class and character uses all those things. And so by starting with a big design space, Flesh and Blood was able to make characters that felt unique and interesting, as opposed to starting with a common library of terms and then handing out those terms like candy to like everybody, which I feel like Warhammer Fantasy Battle did a lot of.
Yeah.
I feel like A Song of Ice and Fire does that a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you can get inspired from so many things. This is kind of why I'm just kind of saying yes to everything at the moment.
So a lot of people are talking about incentivizing movement.
Yeah.
My thought is actually mandating movement.
Ooh, okay.
So in a
Floor's
duel,
lava.
and as someone who did martial arts competitively for like a decade, you don't just stand there and swing. Like you have to move to make hits.
Yes.
And so if I was going to make a duel game of my own, every attack would require you to move to make the attack. You have to end in a different position than you started in. You either have to move forward or to the side or whatever. Or even, it's a feinting attack. You move back. But it is not optional.
Do you think it'd be cooler if just the way the game was designed incentivized the movement as opposed to requiring it?
No, because I want the puzzle of making sure that I have space to do the next thing that I want to do. And if I don't have that space, like, if your arena is, you're in a boxing ring, right? It's a square. Backing up to the corner defensively is a strong move because it makes it more difficult for your opponent to get to your sides.
I agree. The movement,
but it
real
also
life.
traps you movement-wise because now you're limited in the offensive steps you can take at your opponent. So it's still a choice, and you have incentives for what you want to do there, but you also are limiting your future choices based off of that past choice. But you don't need, there doesn't need to be a system in boxing that says, every 15 seconds you have to go and touch a pole in the middle of the ring or whatever to score points.
Well, that's kind of what it sounds like you're describing in the tabletop version of that. You are acquiring movement, but maybe you're saying a little bit of both. I'd rather incentivize it than require it.
Well, incentivizing it would be, instead of scoring points from making hits in boxing, you score points by touching the pole in the middle of the ring.
Right. Yeah.
You have to go back and touch it and then keep fighting and try and keep your opponent away from it or whatever.
Yeah.
And that, that's an incentive thing, but I think that the idea of just standing there, because that is the thing that you run into, right? If the game is about the duel, then points and so on should be scored from the duel. Or it's last man standing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's what most martial arts competition is. Boxing, whatever. You score points based off of corrupt judges. Sorry, I mean based off of scoring specific types of hits and so on. And it is either last man standing or who has the most points at the end of it. But you incentivize movement by making that valuable to scoring hits and your combat. If you just stand there, you're never going to make hits.
I like that. I don't know what chess boxing is. Thank you for the sub, Super Gamer Boys.
Chess boxing is the alternate rounds of boxing with rounds of speed chess. Ludwig ran a chess boxing thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I remember him seeing him inside of a boxing arena live streaming. Shove attacks definitely are going to be a thing. I think an idea of how to incentivize movement without having you touch a pole in the middle, which I did think about. I was like, what if there was like a thing that both players had to destroy? And it was like a shared thing in the middle of the arena. And it's like, you're both trying to destroy this thing or destroy each other. If you destroy the thing in the middle first, you just win the game outright. But, what if you get it 90% done, then your opponent just comes in and swings it one last time and then wins the game?
I mean, that would absolutely be the tactic. It's just to
that's a feel bad.
Allow your opponent to soften it and then be like, okay, I unleash my alpha strike and destroy the thing. I win the game again.
Yeah. And so the solution to that is to have two things that people are hitting and working toward.
So here's the other piece of the reason that I say movement being required makes sense. So like a shove attack requires that you get your momentum going. So you need a space in front of you between the two of you.
Now you're getting to what I'm in most a fan of is I have a moveset that benefits based on a certain hex grid.
Yes.
So it's this does the most damage when I am one hex away. When my opponent is on my right side, on my left side. So facing is the thing that matters.
You definitely put it on a hex grid, but what I'm saying is a shove attack requires you to move one hex closer and end in the space next to your opponent. Right? So you have to start one hex away to get that momentum of go again.
Yeah.
Flanking attack means that you have to have a hex next to, the next square over to move into that space to make that attack.
Yes. So that's where I've settled at the moment. It's your attacks are stronger or weaker or not even possible depending on your position and your relation to the person you're hitting. But yeah, that's just the first idea. How that actually gets implemented is another thing entirely, whether or not that actually inspires or encourages movement and stuff like that. Yeah, we're just recreating Battletech. I mean, it's going to be similar to things. Games are similar.
That's true.
I haven't played Battletech, but I certainly will, because that does seem that you control one mech in that game, don't you?
No.
Control multiple mechs?
You can. The best thing that from my understanding about Battletech is that the system doesn't fall apart at games of any size. So you can run 1v1 mech matches all the way up to what it's designed to do, which is medium-sized combined armed forces where you have 4 to 12 mechs and a bunch of tanks and VTOLs and stuff like that. I think there's a very strong argument to be made that Battletech is the best war game ever made, and I haven't played it, so...
Maybe some sort of ancient capture the flag style thing. Yeah. How about moving builds up energy or something where you use this energy for specific moves or attacks? Yeah. So that's another interesting idea, where it's every this rogue character has a pool of 10 energy, and he regains 5 energy a turn.
Maybe different weapons would use different amounts of energy.
Exactly. And then you have a barbarian who has 20 energy but regains 2 energy a turn, and so it's It's like
right. So maybe you have one guy that's kitted out with like a ton of weapons, but doesn't have a way of like dealing with the energy costs. But then you have like another guy who has only like 2 weapons, but has tons of energy regen and maybe a bunch of mobility.
And so you have a character that comes out of the gate swinging super hard but can't sustain, so he wants to win early. And then you have another character who's averaged and can like maintain damage throughout the arena. And so that makes an interesting interaction. So it's like when I play against the barbarian, I know I have to be defensive like rounds 1, 2, and 3 because he's going to come out of the gate swinging super hard, and then I can overpower in later rounds when his energy gain is low and weak. So it's like, and then your method against a different player, a different character is going to be different. And so that makes matchups interesting without making them be like counter matchups, you know? Like it's like you're not worse at fighting the barbarian or worse at fighting the mage, but your strategy is different and you need to think differently. I always like things like that where it's like, these are like, we make the design space big enough so that we can like design inside of it so that things are different and have to be treated differently and fought against differently. You could go literal when applying it to dueling people.
I'm gonna issue a reminder. You thinned down that stuff enough that it'll dry relatively quickly for an oil wash.
Are you saying that like I should be thinking about wiping it off like soonish?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Thinner it is, the quicker it dries.
But not the quicker it cures, right?
Kinda.
I thought it was a like exothermic reaction that cured oil paints. I guess if it's thinner, then it takes less heat to cure, I suppose.
Yeah, evaporation also provides cooling. That's why we sweat.
Yeah. But oil wants to be hot to cure, right?
Oil generates heat when curing, which means that... boy. Now
means that when it's cooling, it's slowing?
No, it increases its capacity.
It's faster because there's less material thickness to insulate temperature changes.
Sure. Let's
or
just
there's
go with that.
There's just less material to cure in general.
Can we get a paint scientist up in here?
Paint scientist.
Yeah, it's a technical term.
I don't understand why everyone wouldn't use fighter planes in the BattleTech universe. I mean, feels like fighter planes, all you need to do to take a fighter plane out of the sky is just hit it one time critically and then it's fucked. I feel like a BattleTech can like take a lot of damage before it really topples over, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. Also, bipedal mechs look hella cool, which is very important for establishing an interplanetary homogeny.
It's a lord.
Removed most of the oil, so it should likely be removed after a few minutes. Yeah, I sure.
What up, Moist Makers? Glad Sky's still painting Neffy and has confirmed his love of Sigmar at 2K. Great guy. All right.
And I told that lady to call me back in 30 minutes, and it's been 50.
You told her to call you back?
Yeah, because she doesn't have a direct line.
Oh, okay. Rip.
Which is infuriating.
All right, so I often get into this issue where you didn't really see it happen, but I'm trying to wipe away paint, and instead of wiping it away, I just smudged it onto the other surfaces. So it's like I'm almost required to have some kind of mineral spirits in my thing. I don't like that. I like wiped the paint out of the recess onto the top of the skull head, which then just made the top of the skull head look pink.
Yeah. I think, God, the Wi-Fi here is such garbage.
Just don't be on 5G.
But I wanna.
5G has always sucked ass.
Here?
Everywhere. Everywhere I've ever had 5G, it's always sucked ass.
My 5G works fine.
My 5G.
What was I saying? Something. Oh, yeah. I think the makeup sponge things are not as good as glasses cleaning cloths. I got turned on to that by... I want to give credit, and I can't remember what YouTube channel it was now. a different YouTuber than you. There, I did it. Proper credit. And because of the fact, like, it still has enough absorption, but it's more controllable, and you don't need as much spirits. Because the problem I have with those sponges is you put any spirits in them, and they just, like, swell up and become spirits machines.
Spirits machines.
Whereas with you can put the spirits on the glass's clean cloth, and it's like just a teeny tiny bit. You can make it very slightly moist.
I don't know. That's looking pretty fucking. If I was on camera, that's looking pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's working. They're super cheap. Same thing as what do you call them? Makeup brushes. You can buy them in super bulk on Amazon. I bought, I don't know, I think a box of 100 of them for $12. The Holy Fireman rating us with a party 5.
Holy Fireman! Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, dog. Scott, am I going to be live this week? No. This is not the first or third Thursday of the month, and so I will not be live on Thursday. In fact, there's 5 Thursdays this month.
Oh, this is one of the magic 5 Thursday months.
Magic 5 Thursdays. Tamiya cotton swabs have a fine tip for detailed wiping. They do, but also they're very hard. Like they really scratch the surface of the model quite a bit.
Yeah, I bought some of those, and they are great for what they do. You just have to be very, very, very delicate with them.
Yeah,
because they are wound hard.
Very scratchy. I think this
Holy
is...
Fireman says, always dug this weirdo skeleton thing. Love what you're doing here. Yeah, I called it a Giga Horse.
Giga Horse.
Because I don't know what the hell it's supposed to be.
Neither do I. But I do like invert... Well, I'm not really inverting it. Whenever GW paints this model, this is how they paint it, right? With dark bones and glowy skulls. I'm not doing anything special. But yeah, I like this. I like the dark bones and the glowy skulls. I think GW had it right with the box art.
Can we get a close-up of the skulls?
Oh, yes. So nice glowy red eyes. I might add some white highlights to the tops of the skulls and brows and stuff, like just pure white ones. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I am sucking up the red in the nose holes. So you'll notice that guy doesn't have any red in his nose hole.
It's all right. He doesn't deserve it.
He doesn't fucking deserve it. I also like the red that's like acting as a recess shade in between the skull and the black bone. I think that's really cool too. Kind of makes it just seem like it's glowing, like the whole mass is glowing underneath. It isn't just like the individual skulls. It's like there's heat inside of whatever thing is keeping them together. Do you imagine that all these skulls are still animated? Like they shit talk the That's hilarious. It'd be more badass to be like they're suffering, like they're screaming. Like Neferata has like contained all these people's souls into one beast, and like their conjoined suffering is what gives this monster its power. That seems more vampiric to me, but also shit talking is hilarious. It's like you just fly by and there's a bunch of voices just going like, "You suck!" You know. It reminds me of a skeletal mount from the Soul Cairn in Skyrim Vampire Wife DLC. Oh, okay. Never played Skyrim, you know. I remember freshman year of high school, and I was doing like soccer practices in the summer. And I remember when it came out, because there were some people on my team who skipped practice to play Skyrim. But I never got into it myself. What I found annoying about oil paints and such is what a use to remove the paint always breaks down and tears after a few uses. Feels very wasteful. I think, yeah, you're right about that. It is a little bit wasteful. These don't, I would, if something is breaking down, to me that's a bad tool for what I'm doing right now. it can't break down. Otherwise, you're going to deposit bullshit onto your model. These little spongy things do not break down, at least the amount that I use them. I could see if you really were like really kind of cranking away that it would rip and tear a little bit, but not that much. It's not warmer without skulls, indeed. I partly dremeled out the skulls, made it pitted, less blobbed some thinner on. Couldn't get behind it. Okay. It didn't seem like a bad idea. Yeah, I think skulls are so detailed that like this strategy I'm using right now of very thin oil wash is working, but I think with more defined details, this really wouldn't work at all. What I'm doing right now, but it does. So we are. Oh, seems like I didn't get much red oil wash down here below the rib cage, but it doesn't really matter.
No one can see that.
Yeah, no one cares about those ones. It's the top ones that matter the most. Brandon the Painter, thanks for the Prime sub. Oh, apparently I missed that skull right there. Whoops. You ever had a oil wash set grainy? I have. I'm using high quality oil and thinner. Conventional wisdom suggests that you are thinning the oil paint too much, but I don't know. Not an expert on this stuff, unfortunately. But that is what I have been told could lead to grainy oil washes.
Warhammer 40k Cadian Shock Trooper, yes. Actually removing the oils with mineral spirits.
Yeah. Also, just for everyone's knowledge, I did not varnish this paint before doing this. This paint has been on Neferata for at least 2 years. And honestly, I wouldn't feel scared to do this if it had been on there for a week. Acrylic paint is pretty tough stuff. And the only time I've ever had like me wiping it with a mineral spirits really take paint off is when I am just literally abrading the surface like sandpaper. You know, I'm rubbing it so hard with paper towel and toothpicks or not toothpicks, but whatever. I'm wiping it so hard that the paint is coming off. And that's especially true of like acrylic paint you just painted on. Like if I do a bunch of airbrushing, wait like an hour, and then start doing this process, like you're just asking for it to get ripped off. Got to give it time to cure. Some oil brands are grainier. Did I miss the movie segment of the stream? No, we did not talk about movies yet. I haven't seen any new movies.
Yeah, we don't watch movies around here.
They were done. If Vince painted the model, all the skulls would be saying, sure, and this is why you're wrong. Huddleston, no, I've never played Devil Daggers. Why is that game special? Sounds fun. I noticed after a while of wiping away with mineral spirits that, like when I'm dealing with like a flat skull, that the skull, like you see, I wiped that away and now it's just like bright white. I was doing the same thing with another little makeup brush, but the top of the skull was staying pink. And so that's kind of like an indicator to me that it's time to get a new little makeup sponge.
Yeah, they get saturated really quickly.
Yeah, it does seem that way. The Spain of Plastic gifting a sub to Elric Deutsch. New Spider-Man is goated. I haven't seen the new Spider-Man yet, but man, the first one was really good. So I do plan to watch it. All right, I just did this one like 2 seconds ago, so I'm just asking for this to not work out, but all I want is for the paint to stay in the eye sockets and also like the cheek area-ish. No. Cool. Oh, maybe we should do some on the inside as well. With oil paints, for me, it's generally that you need less thinner than one would think if you are not just blacklining with a capillary effect. You're totally right about that. You can like, I'm not good at this, but I've seen it kind of happen in my own work, and so I feel confident saying that it is possible. If you use a thicker oil wash and you put it on and you wait enough time, which I don't know how much time that is, maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's an hour, and you wipe it off, you can get a blend, you know, you can get a transition from one color to another. And it follows all the typical rules that blending follows. Like, it's going to be easier to like get that blend if the two colors are like close in value, close in hue. Like if I do like a white base coat and then I oil wash in black, like that's going to be really hard to like blend from white to black. But if I have like gray and dark gray, it's gonna be a lot easier to get that blend. So yeah, it kind of follows all that conventional wisdom, but it did seem possible. I did it on my zombie dragon, the actual dragon itself, and it worked out okay. Yeah, not losing any paint, not seeing any part of the plastic kit show up or black primer and stuff like that. So don't need mineral spirits if your paint is adequately cured, and also you're not fucking rubbing this thing like you know what. Remember, chat, Scott gave the same rating to Morbius that he gave to Blade Runner 2049. I think my issue with Blade Runner, and this is definitely a me problem, is that while the movie was beautiful, it just felt like it was smarter than me. Like I don't know what the movie was trying to tell me. I don't know like why the story was particularly special. Like if I read the synopsis of Blade Runner, it sounds cool. And then when I go and I watch Blade Runner, I kind of feel like, is all the dialogue poetry? Like I feel like it was, you know, maybe trying too hard or I'm too dumb. One of those two things. And so it was beautiful, but.
And then when he watched Morbius, he didn't think it was smarter than him.
No, it was dumb. It was very dumb, but it had a flying fucking Jared Leto vampire in it. So I was like, I think I said in my review, this gets an extra star just because of vampires. I think I said that. It's Morbin time! Do you have designated oil brushes? I do, yeah. I have like this little baggie that I keep them in so they can stay separate from the rest of my brushes. I don't know if that's necessary, but I definitely do that. It's Blade Running time. How about Judge Dredd, either version? I liked it. Devil's Daggers is an endless FPS on a platform in a hell-like abyss. Oh. That's cool. Yeah, I like Judge Dredd. That was a good movie.
Do you mean Dread 3D or the one from the 90s?
The one with Carl Urban?
Carl Urban. Carl Urban.
Carl Urban.
Carl.
I keep always confusing him with Keith Urban. But it's not Kyle or Keith. It is Carl.
Dread 3D with Keith Urban would be a pretty different movie.
Dredd is the new one. Okay, gotcha. Oh yeah, Judge Dredd has the Boxer Man.
Boxer Man?
Yeah.
That's what we're going with for Sly Sylvester Stallone?
That's what it is. I was like Malone, Stallone. It's like, what is the loan word? I can't remember what it was, but yeah. Boxer Man.
Boxer Man. That movie is like Morbius.
Okay. I'm happy with the effect. I think I might need to get a paintbrush out and take care of some red paint that's like down in the knuckles of this beast. What if I just oil wash the entire thing with red?
What if?
The black bone as well. Okay, that's a cool idea, but I feel like it would make the skulls less special. And so I'm going to keep that idea in mind for a future project and do something different with the bones. Wet skeleton. For more sci-fi, more fun sci-fi action, check out Upgrade. I've seen Upgrade. So stoked for Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate! I just watched a GDC video about Pillars of Eternity and like how they really thought hard about like what attribute gains looks like in that video game. That CRPG. I didn't know that was a term until right now. What up? What'd you forget?
Your stream.
Oh, okay. Slippery slope to looking like lava. Yeah, I suppose so. Is that much of a slippery slope though, or is that kind of more like a fun slide? I don't know if I would mind my dread abyssals looking like lava monsters. Are the skulls glowing? They're supposed to be glowing. Like they have like glowing red eyes and stuff like that. It's more of a quick effect than it is like a hardcore one. You know what might have been an interesting idea? There's this guy, his name is El Miniaturista on Instagram, and he does a lot of stuff with white ink. He'll like put down some white ink, and then he'll airbrush on top of it. So like the white ink's like a wash. Sorry, I didn't say that. He like washes on white ink, and then airbrushes the whole thing with like a saturated transparent color. So you get like the intense underpainted panel lines that are super glowy, like say on like an Avatar cane, for instance.
Yeah, holy shit.
And then the surrounding area is tinted by the transparent paint. It's got a couple of really cool videos actually. We could probably pull one up on the split cam if Evan wants to.
I'm looking at his Instagram right now, and I am feeling bad about my life choices.
It's actually it makes it easy to grasp when he does it, and I think it's very possible with white ink and some specific airbrushing effect.
Wow.
Yes, on be a draw. You know, I never really got into CRPGs a whole lot. I tried to play. I can't remember which one it was. There's a couple of them with my friend, and it just didn't. It wasn't the game for me.
My friend.
RG Hanomic. Thanks for the sub. He also uses white oil paint to do the same thing. Maybe he's using white oil paint in those examples. I thought it was white ink, but I could be wrong.
Here, I've got I think this is an oil paint one for Sigvald.
BG3 has a bunch of vampires.
Give me a second to remember how to do my job.
Okay. Forgot how to paint Warhammer. Diablo 4 Necromancer has ruined all the boners I've ever had. None can compete. All the puns included. Yeah, I would. Y'all are making me want to try out Diablo 4. I just feel like it's gonna be super similar to Diablo 3.
It's more similar to Diablo 2 than Diablo 3.
And for someone who's never played the Diablo franchise, really, am I gonna notice that nuance?
I don't know if that's really actually very nuanced.
Well, okay. I've played.
What the hell?
I played Diablo 3 for 20 hours. Am I gonna notice a difference?
Oh, probably.
Diablo 3 is the worst Diablo. Juan Hidalgo did something similar with some pre-thinned oils from AK. That's the other solution. You could just use like one of these products. No, not that one. Like Raider Earth from AK Interactive. Like this stuff dries deceptively bright. Yeah, okay, this is the one because I installed a paintbrush with super glue in the lid. Because I thought this was gonna be a dark blue shadow panel line. I was like, okay, sick. I can use this on my skeletons. Like it's gonna be great for doing little recessed shades without trying to paint it into the recess specifically.
But it wasn't.
And then it wasn't. It was dried turquoise or like a light blue color. So you could just skip the white ink and the airbrushing altogether. Just use a thing like this if you didn't have an airbrush, for instance. Yes, so...
I believe this is with oil paints.
This is very... What? Is it? It looks like underpainting and airbrushing with transparent paints. I don't know. You would know better if you read like the caption. Diablo 4 will remove your channel. Don't do it. You definitely don't want to see the first act in its vampire and werewolf themes mixed with Viking goodness. Diablo 3 is the only one I played. I was so let down from how much my friends hyped Diablo. Ollie loves Diablo, but the new one is like $80. $80!
It's 70.
$70! Yeah, I figured it'd be like $60 or something like that.
Here's a good underpainting example.
Scott needs to do a reaction video on Haywo's D4 review. Yeah, just for the memes. Yeah, there you go.
I just watched Haywo's D4 review last night after I stopped playing Diablo 4 at 5 in the morning, and I agreed with everything he said.
EDB says, "Hey Scott, I just wanted to pop in and say my brush coffin came in recently and it absolutely rules. Thanks again." Yes! People are getting the box in the real world and they like it. Oh, up until this point, you've all just had to trust me in saying that I think it's a cool thing. I mean, it's not that cool. It's a fucking metal box, you know? It's not that cool, but it's a real thing, I promise.
Encroach Route 86 is coming up on that 2-year mark. Subscribe to Tier 1, 23 months.
Did you call this person Encroach Root?
Yeah.
It's Enoch Root?
No, it's Encroach Route.
Okay. The video with the Votan glow shows what he uses. It's white ink. Ah, I got you. Thank you, Spanish Man Love. There we go. There's some more of that lovely OSL glow. 10 reasons why this metal coffin changed my life forever.
So I love how this looks. My big problem with it is this is how you destroy your gun. The barrel is red hot. That means the barrel is completely destroyed.
Come on, Evan. Here we go. Yes, let's watch this. So this is as far as I can tell, that might have just been white paint.
Yeah.
Airbrush some white on. Repaint the raised detail to further enunciate that airbrushed effect. And then hit it with that magenta or that hot pink. I don't think he's done yet, because I think he then, yeah, it's more intense white stuff. This is the one that I saw recently. And I was like, damn, yeah, okay, that really works. I wanted to give that a shot on something.
Well, now's your chance. You got a nice big black skeleton. You could do this all over.
All over.
The entire thing.
This is a thing's base. Oh no. Makes it look easy. Yeah, it requires some good brush control for sure. Okay, I want to get some. I'm just gonna pour that in there. I'm gonna get some clean or cleaner mineral spirits and try to wipe the red off of the bone, the black of the bone, and then we're gonna do some good old-fashioned dry brushing on the bones, and then maybe like some edge highlighting, like super high up on like the really visible parts. Coronary Jump says, moist. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. The brush control is the unsung hero here. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. It's hard to tell when something is fully clean because it's like glossy and black. But I think the key is here to try to soak up as much of that oil paint as you can, and then just like repeatedly going back to your mineral spirits to rinse your brush out and get a cleaner brush. When using spirits to clean your brush, how often do you change out the spirits? I think you mean when using spirits to clean the oil off your miniature. I don't use it to clean my brush, very specifically. How often do you change out your spirits? Never. Like while I'm actually wiping paint off of the model, I don't think I really ever do that. It stays clean enough for at least the entire process of doing what I want to do on the model. But I am inexperienced. It's very important to say that. I can paint models to make them look really pretty, but when it comes to oil washing, not the end all be all knowledge man. Knowledge man. As you can tell, I've never used all but want to. Yeah, for sure. Once every full moon, otherwise they start complaining. Grayscale value sketch into an airbrush is the best thing for OSL. It's definitely helpful. Definitely helpful for sure. And we get a chance to play Vince's new game, Majestic 13. I think I'm making this bone look worse. Because instead of soaking anything up, I'm just like spreading it around more. Here, let's try just legitimate and clean, a new cup. Maybe I'm learning a lesson here, and that black paint really shows like any kind of color at all. Like if we look at like the thigh bone right here, like maybe you even can't see it as bad as it actually is, but I can see a ton of like red like all over this thing. So we'll try a totally clean cup with a new little makeup spongy thing to clean up this stuff to get a nice jet black, or close to it at least. Maybe what I should have done, I was gonna say maybe I should have done this first and then done the bone, but I definitely got black on the skulls and had to fix that, and that'd have been annoying. People just keep the spirits in a jar, pigment sinks to the bottom, it rarely needs changing. That's a cool idea. I didn't think about that. I watched him demo it at TMXCon. Oh, cool. You can buy jars with coils to rub the brush on in art stores. Yeah, they make things like that. You can just like add at the bottom of a cup just to have a little bit of something extra.
A little something extra for you.
A little something extra. Just to wipe, just to help get all that stuff out of your brush. Okay. Okay. I'm going pretty heavy with the mineral spirits here. And it is getting some paint off, so that's encouraging. All right. And we'll do this side again. Silicoil is my best friend. Is that the metal coil at the bottom of the cup? Use glass and get 2 of them if you do oils off it, like glass cups maybe. Someone said they had a mason jar with mineral spirits in it for 2 years. Yeah, it's not a bad solution. Also to save some mineral spirits. I mean, I do have like a gallon of it, but if I had less, that would that'd be helpful for sure. Okay. All right, not looking too bad. Let's do that front paw again. Scott fuck up already? Not as far as I'm aware, unless you noticed something. Back on the topic of moves and Scott's movies and Letterboxd ratings, you gave Matrix Resurrection 3 stars. That movie was absolute fucking garbage. As a thought, I think what you mean is I felt that movie was absolute garbage. Isn't that right? It was fine. I will say this. I did not watch any prior Matrix movies before going to see that one. So like maybe that affected my rating of it. I immediately watched the first one after watching that one, and that movie is amazing. The movie rocks. Definitely better than that one. But that one, the newest one was fine. Look at Scott, gentle parenting. Water needs to be changed more often, but Spirit shouldn't get a poo. I imagine it wouldn't get a poo smell. I'm with you, Scott. It was fine. Not spectacular, but fine. Now the movie is so bad that the creators literally have a whole scene in the middle of the movie about how they were forced to make it. Maybe I didn't catch that. The new Matrix was very self-aware of what regurgitated studio garbage it was, and that was worth some bonus points. Yeah, that was interesting how self-aware it was, because like the plot of the movie was basically talking about the scenario that maybe the story writers were put into, having to remake a game, having to relaunch a series. If you were not a mini painter on YouTube, what would your channel be about? Just be about things that I'm like enjoying right now. Maybe be about gaming, miniature wargaming, maybe about video games, maybe be about board games, maybe be about cooking, maybe about, those are all things that I personally enjoy. Cooking, there's still time, Scott. I guess the thing about cooking is I feel like I have nothing new to offer to cooking. Everything I do in cooking is someone else's thing, It's like they taught me something and I listen to that advice and I apply it. Like when it comes to miniature painting, I think about it so much and I think about how to quantify it so much that I feel like I actually have like some helpful thoughts that have not been stated yet on the internet. And so that for me feels like a worthwhile thing to make a video about. But if I were to make videos about cooking, it'd be like, you could learn everything I'm about to tell you if you just like watched Serious Eats or read Kenji's book or watched Adam Ragusier. Can we get like an Unraveled with Scott, like the old Polygon series with BDG? I don't know what that is. What's Unraveled? It reminds me of the series Unwrapped, but I have no idea if there is. Start making recipes exclusively with Dr. Pepper. In the track record of the Wachowskis, the original Matrix is an aberration. I never expected anything decent from them. You think the original Matrix was a terrible movie? I really loved that movie. I thought it was really good. Yeah, sure, it could be more about the journey and less about the learning. Oh, it's the only good thing they've ever made. What does aberration mean? Does it mean like, obviously with context, I understand what it meant, but I thought that aberration meant like horrific. Like this was a standout, yeah. Yo, I didn't get banned for sharing a YouTube link. It looks like the AutoMod isn't doing things. That's abomination. Yeah, they kind of just both sound like icky, All right, let's do some dry brushing with some dark gray paint. I think what I might do is use Eshin Gray, which is what I originally base coated all the bone with and then washed it with Army Painter Army Painter Grim Dark, Grim Black. So I'll just dry brush on Eshin Gray again. I don't want it to stand out too much. And then after I'm done dry brushing, then I'll do some more selective edge highlighting with a little bit of a lighter gray. A deviation in the normal structure or number of chromosomes in an organism. It's so interesting how many words are just like they're used somewhere very specifically, but they kind of relate to something else, or they can be interpreted generically, and then that term is then just used in normal human speech. I think that's interesting. Thanks for teaching me today, stream. Stream, you always teach me. It's always so fun to stream because you guys just know fucking everything. And so it's just helpful to learn a bunch of stuff. Like I didn't know about the Reddit thing with them going private and stuff. So that was helpful to learn. Someone asked me a question. Am I a fan of Criterion films? I am, yeah. I'm not like a huge fan. I don't own a ton of them, but I have maybe 5 or 6. But I also like Vinegar Syndrome and Arrow Video and stuff like that. Yes, I indeed know everything. It helps to be the collective of over 200 brains. But yeah, but it's still cool, it's like, in a way, I mean, I know you're all individuals, but in a way, I do visualize you as one person. And so it's almost like I can ask you guys any question and you'll know the answer to it. Chat, what's the meaning of life? Please, I need to know. Okay, I want to do some dry brushing, but I feel like I don't want to use the traditional short bristle brush. I think the kind of model this is, I think it's going to be better if I use something with a little bit more accuracy. I still don't want it to be like a super long bristled brush though. 42, there it is. So many 42s. How the fuck did you fall asleep watching Speed Racer, bro? Your own personal chat GPT? Kinda, yeah, kinda. Someone emailed me, I got a lot of emails about board game design, and someone emailed me and they're like, I asked chat GPT how to make a dueling miniature war game. And it was super interesting, the response. It was clearly a regurgitation of other games, like the most popular games, but it was still interesting to read through. I've never used Chat GPT for anything, so it's always kind of cool to see what it does. Twitch chat as a person sounds horrifying. Yeah, sure. Dude, Speed Racer it's hot. I mean, it's hot. Maybe it's hot garbage, but it's visually stunning. Maybe it's because I just watch a lot of shit movies, but there's a lot more a movie has to offer than just the execution of the story, how the characters how dialogue and stuff like that, art department, visual effects, that all contributes to the experience. And it's been years since I've watched Speed Racer, but I remember it being just so captivating visually. But no, that is a very new thought for me though. And it is because I watch a bunch of shitty movies. You just find other things to enjoy, whether that's prop design, set design, matte paintings, stuff like that. You should keep an eye out in your area for designer/publisher board game events. Yes, they're called unpub events, I think, where you take a game you're making and go and playtest it with other developers who are playtesting games. That's a great idea, Rufus. I didn't think that it would be happening in my area, but it probably would, because there's a ton of devs here, because of all the companies that are here. They invite people to, yeah, I should look that up. Unpub is a big name, but there are smaller ones all around. Do you know if I can is there a website that enumerates all these events maybe? Probably not, but that'd be awesome. That British alien, thank you. I appreciate it. We need stuff to do in the winter. Yes, that is very true. All right, for my brush to dry brush, I'm gonna use this one right here, because it has a nice sharper angle, but it's still kind of soft and rounded, and I can sneak into these kind of spiny bone areas and not ace other parts of the model. Hoping I can get a Combat Patrol for 40k 10th edition. Any left for Necrons? Yes. Necrons were the second 40k army I collected. Pop quiz. What was the first 40k army I collected? Considering the Midwest is like the miniature painter capital of the world, I'm sure there are a good amount of game devs there too. It's weird. Why? Surely there are a lot of painters in California. And there are a lot of painters in Missouri as well. Not Blood Angels. Boom! Jay Willie got it. Space Orcs. It was Space Orcs and then Necrons. And then I never played again. And that was 6th grade. How old are you in 6th grade? I think I'm 10 when I'm in 4th grade. And so I must have been 12. I never played Dark Eldar in high school. That was later in life. Sorry for the low action today's stream. I'm kind of just chilling right now. Yes, people outside of the Midwest definitely paint minis. Eventbrite. Ooh, thank you. Is my... What up, Ollie? Rufus, can you link me that on Discord, please? Okay, so I'm gonna use this brush. It's actually from the God Hand brand. I remember when the guy reached out to me and he was like, I have brushes. Like, you use brushes. You're gonna like these brushes, right? It's always so funny whenever someone's like, hey, you do this hobby. Like, if I had a friend who was like super into soccer, like I wouldn't buy him shin guards, you know? It's like, oh, I was in secondhand sports and I found this soccer ball. You're into soccer, right? You want this ball, right? It's like, no, you idiot. Like, I am very attuned to what I want from shin guards. I don't need some pleb buying me shin guards, you know? You guys feel that way ever? Thank you, Rufus. I'd argue Spain has the best, followed by Italy and then Poland. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to argue where the best painters were in the world, yeah, I would say that those 3 countries are definitely in the running. I would say that UK is definitely in the running as well. I would say back in the day, France would be definitely in the running also. France had a ton of Golden Demon winning painters, and they still have, like, France still has people who are winning Slayer swords to this day. But there's not a lot of them. There are just a ton of Spanish painters, a ton of English painters, and a ton of Polish, Russian painters that are just amazing. Break My Games does playtesting events on the East Coast. Thank you. Okay. I don't feel that way because I consume hobby products like water.
I like that I walked away from the computer for a minute, and the thing that I heard you say was, I love streaming because chat knows everything.
They do. You can, like, ask them any question and they have an answer. Couldn't drum up enough interest for a class in Denver. You gotta kind of know where to look, right? Oh no, I don't want to do that. I did the thing that you're not supposed to do with dry brushing, where you wipe it on a
dry paper towel.
A dry paper towel, and you just lose all the medium and keep the pigment behind. I'm gonna wipe it on my cutting mat available at miniac.co. Hey. Speaking of Miniac.co, we are 11 subs away from a Miniac t-shirt and random grab bag of models. Once we hit 50 subs, we're going to do a giveaway for the viewers of the stream, not the subs. So 11 more subs and we're there.
Kitten's in the giving mood today.
Thank you, Kitten.
That's the second one.
All right, let's just see.
A texture palette insert for your Masters and Wets palette. That's pretty cool.
Ooh, baby, the flat brush. Yeah. Iron Painter, when they make their dry brushes, they opt for the flat brush.
Well, they have both.
Oh, do they? Oh, they do. You're right.
Yeah, there's the round ones that are the goat bristle ones. They're premium ones, and then they have some of the flat brush ones.
Premium dry brushes. That's so funny to me. Dry brushing is such a just like destructive thing to do to your brushes, that the thought of advertising to someone that you want a premium thing you're going to destroy is funny.
All materials are to be expended.
I suppose so. Some faster than others, though.
I mean, you destroy paints by using them.
That is true. Not as fast as this, though.
Perhaps.
I don't know if this is really doing anything. Oh, it's definitely doing something down here.
That is the key phrase to the way you know you're dry brushing correctly. Is I don't know if this is doing anything.
Yeah.
Because the alternative is, oh no.
Oh no.
PC Tyler gifting 5 subs.
Woo! Thank you, PC Tyler. I need an opinion on making a paintbrush. Would feral boar hair work as a paintbrush? I don't know.
Maybe.
Not super versed in
I think that
various animal furs.
my guess is that it would be more of a paint remover brush.
Sounds like the kind of thing you would want to do if you were developing a paintbrush. Buy a bunch of different synthetic and natural options and buy a bunch of paintbrushes from various brands and try them out and see what works the best and where they are missing opportunities and fill those missed opportunities. All right, now I'll start to do this leg a little bit.
Porcupine hair brush.
Okay, Scott, please explain why there are so many mini YouTubers. So many mini YouTubers have roots in Wisconsin, though. Do so many of them have roots in Wisconsin? There's
Me, you, Jay, Uncle Adam.
Yeah. The model is flimsy, yes. I think that's it, right?
Haywo is also in Wisconsin.
Oh,
but
really?
He's not, well, I guess he's a hobby YouTuber.
I'm curious. What are the other ones?
I was specifically framing my mind around like miniature painting.
Yeah.
But Haywo is miniature hobby, the other side of it.
The other side. And they can't commingle.
That's true. Everyone knows this. A rivalry as strong as time between painters and players.
Oh, especially Haywo and myself.
Indeed.
My God.
Well, John's from Minnesota, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But close enough, I guess. Elrix as in Elrix Hobbies, the company.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was the roots in Wisconsin thing that we were going off of, which is why I didn't include John. I said in the chat, Upper Midwest is the locus of all miniature hobbying in the United States, and I'll stand by that all day.
Seems to be working out pretty nicely, actually.
Vampirus86 says, I think Goobs went to UW-Madison.
Oh, I think you're right, actually. I think he did some kind of college in Wisconsin.
Does that count?
Does it count as roots?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like that's a no. That's on the same level as I worked in Minnesota for a year.
It's a bouncy mini indeed.
Neferata's Spring Demon.
Spring-loaded vampire. Oh, that should not be that loose.
Yikes.
Well, I have an articulating arm. All right, we'll hold on to that while we dry brush it so it doesn't...
Reposable.
Yeah, exactly. I'll hold on to that so it doesn't go flying while I'm smacking it with a paintbrush.
All right, so how do I misread this?
I disavow any association to my university city of St. Cloud.
Lee Lamothman says, "Hey, love the content. Currently painting in Nolazar's Abominable Yeti. How would you recommend painting fur?"
For like a ton of texture, I don't exactly know that model, but I'm gonna guess that a lot of the texture isn't like perfectly defined, especially if it's Nolzur's, which is like a D&D pre-prime, pre-painted brand. I would first start by visualizing the Yeti as like a collection of larger volumes. So it's like
visualize the Yeti.
Right. So I'm just trying to explain like what's going on in my brain.
I understand.
Like, it's got big shoulders, it's got a head, probably 2 pectoral muscles, some kind of abdomen, some like maybe big quad muscles, like kneecaps, shins, feet, heel, calf, elbow, forearm. Like those are like kind of like the big bodily volumes, right? So I would like paint it respecting those volumes with an airbrush. If it's like a larger model, that's like, uniformly one color, like white fur, I'd like paint it head to toe with an airbrush, caring about those things. So I would do a zenithal undercoat, but I would like be like, my airbrush wouldn't just be like, oh, top down. Psh. I'd be like, okay, focus on that nip, focus on that nip. Get the head a little bit brighter, get the shoulders a little bit brighter, get like kind of like the back muscles a little bit brighter. I'd kind of like want it to be bright top to bottom with like a blue shade, And then from there, if the model was decent enough, maybe I'd apply a very thin wash. I wouldn't want to like lose all that whiteness. And then after that wash, inevitably some things would darken down. And then I would paint some strands of fur, especially on the tops of muscles, tops of the head, the tops of the shoulders and the pecs. It's almost like where there is the most light, that's where you can see the most strands of hair. So I'm not going around and picking out all the fucking hair on the model. Like that's just a waste of time. I'm just doing it like where you would apply your final brush highlights. It's like I'm using that as like a step to highlight the model while also adding back in some of that fur texture. Hopefully that answers the question. My Yeti cup doesn't come with fur, sad. Okay. Let's do some more dry brushing.
Gotta use a Yeti hairbrush.
Yeti hairbrush or airbrush?
Hair brush. We were talking about the various qualities of different types of creature hair for your paintbrush.
Ah.
Not a Yeti hairbrush, but a Yeti hair brush.
Okay, we need to find some Yetis then.
Yeah.
And harvest their fur.
That's the real reason that Bigfoot is so scarce.
Right. There's your campaign against natural hair bristle brushes.
Mm-hmm.
We need to bring back Yeti. Yeti has some kind of connection to Minnesota. I forget where it is. It Reamer, Minnesota? It's like the birthplace of
who?
Bigfoot. Not Yeti, Bigfoot.
No, I don't think so.
No?
I thought Bigfoot was like a California thing.
It could be, yeah. I bet a lot of places have like a Bigfoot origin story.
Bigfoot's like the Northwest. I thought it was like Northern California or something like that. We have Paul Bunyan and his big blue ox.
Yes. What's the big blue ox called?
Babe.
Chad, I have a question for you. GW has a design language that's very much so like, I rolled a hit, I rolled a wound, you roll armor saves, you roll leadership checks. And that design language has, found its way into many games, like A Song of Ice and Fire.
Many games
outside of their games. I'm curious, what are some games that don't use that kind of design language when it comes to combat that you know of? Example is Guild Ball, a Shatterpoint. What are some ones that you know? All right, now that we've done dry brushing, now we're gonna do just a skosh of edge highlighting on like some of these higher up bones.
Just a skosh.
Just a wee bit. I'm gonna use a bright blue color as well. Strontium Dog.
What?
The fuck? I've never heard of that game.
I'm in.
Is Babe the Big Blue Ox? Is Babe the Big Blue Ox a kaiju?
I don't think Babe is that big.
Clifford the Big Red Dog is a kaiju.
Yeah, see, I don't put them into that category of size.
That's a game by Warlord Games, 2000 AD. Okay. Weirdbeard got all the 75mm models from the Kickstarter. How are they packaged, Weirdbeard? Do they all look good? How is the casting quality? I haven't
Packaged in a big heap.
Yeah, I hope not. I haven't gotten my models yet from them for my web store, so I'm assuming the casting quality is as good as the QA models because the company that I have is good, albeit slow. But I hope they're good. The Minnesota Lakes are the footprints of Babe. That's hilarious. There's one game that used a deck of cards instead of dice for tests and such. Yeah, that sounds like Malifaux. Or Yasfiga. More modern game, but it also does the same thing that Malifaux does. It draws from a deck of cards. See ya, Alex. As opposed to rolling dice. Oh, yeah, sure. Wild West Exodus? Who made that game? I remember it showing up at Adepticon for a couple years, and then it hasn't been like here the last 2 years. Scott, should we have shipping notifications for the brush box? I have no idea. If someone in chat got their box, did you get a shipping notification? I kind of doubt it, but
Did you pay for your shipping?
It's funny you should ask that question, Evan, because a lot of people got their box before paying for shipping, and then I charged them after, and they were kind of like, "This is weird." I'm like, "I agree, it is weird."
Give me money.
It's like I already have the thing. It's like, but you didn't give me shipping money. I had to pay for it. Pay me back. It's very weird. That'll be $13.99. Wild West Exodus. Oh yeah, War Cradle. Okay.
War Cradle.
What if you had big dice where you could choose cards to put on the faces? Whoa. I roll a d6 that determines the face of the card, but the card has a number on it still.
I mean, you'd have to. So War Cradle, you have to make a sequel to the game called War Grave, and then it's War from the Cradle to the Grave. I don't think Scott likes it.
From the Cradle to the Grave?
Yeah. You never heard that before?
I mean, it sounds like dying babies. What?
It means lifelong, Scott.
Does it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with dying babies.
All right.
Gonna put up my new monument brushes in the coffin and then never touch them again. Rip. Don't do that. Okay. What are these brushes? One of these. Okay, I need where's my size 1 Mindwork brush? I'm actually using those Mindwork brushes. I know they don't sell to the US.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, but the ones they sent me, they're pretty functional.
Broadsword Wargaming says, "Oh man, I've got my first fulfillment for my Kickstarter as the distributor next week. Just like 3,500 packages turning up. Can't wait for it to all go wrong." We've been sitting here with a bunch of stuff that we can't list on the store until the Kickstarter is fulfilled. Yeah. I'm looking at a pile of 16 boxes of brush boxes.
Yep. Ali, you confuse me, my friend. It's like as if running a YouTube channel and a physical store wasn't enough. You were like, oh, maybe I should also fulfill Kickstarter campaigns. Walk me through that decision.
Money?
Sure.
Doing more things?
Sure.
Marketing?
I've seen the Dice Forge box HUD. I never played it though. Garrett's asked, is there a difference between a size 0 brush and a size 00 brush? And yes, if you're familiar with like gauges for like earrings or like many other things that use the gauge metric, 00 is smaller than 0. 000 is even smaller than those two, and then so on and so forth.
Okay, but this doesn't make any sense.
What doesn't make any sense?
Because gauges, as you go down in number, it gets bigger.
What? No, a size. Wait.
A 12 gauge shotgun has a bigger barrel than a 14 or 16 gauge shotgun.
I was just thinking of like the zeros and the 00s.
Yeah, you're right, because there's also the size of the pellets, and you're right, double aught buck is bigger than triple aught, right?
Yeah.
I think.
But okay, hold on. For like electronics, 14 AWG is smaller than 12 AWG, right? Is AWG the same as aught or no? It must not be.
Yeah, no, you're right. Wire gauge, the bigger the number, the smaller the wire.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now I'm definitely confused. But I know for paintbrushes, that's definitely how it works.
Yeah. Paintbrush is smaller number, smaller brush. And 2 zeros is a smaller number than a single 0. There we go. We got there.
Yes.
I don't know why. I don't know what the measurement system actually is. But yes, a 00 is a different brush than a single 0. The 00 will have less hairs in it.
Yes.
And now I want to know what the hell the numbering system for brushes is.
Oh, it's nothing. No one follows it or cares about it.
Well, that's true too.
This needs to be brighter.
Without an international specification that requires everyone to do the same thing for the same shells, everyone can just do what they want. Okay, cool. I no longer write with Nationwide.
What about Nationwide?
Sorry.
Talking about insurance right now?
Huh?
Talking about insurance right now?
Yes.
Is Nationwide on my side, Evan?
Kinda. I don't want chat's eyes to roll back into their heads, but Nationwide has made it very difficult to write new policies with them nationwide. All 50 states now. Because they don't want new business. They feel they're overexposed.
Interesting. You don't often hear a business in the commercial space saying that they want less business.
Insurance works very differently than most people would expect.
Time for an insurance lesson. Take it away, Evan. I'm just kidding. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, but no. Rufus Kit says no longer appointed with Nationwide. No, I'm still appointed, but Nationwide has redone their underwriting requirements, which makes them impossible to quote, basically. I want to answer that question, but where did it go? Okay, here we go. Mad Toy wants to know, hi chat. Hi Scott.
Hi.
Just got my Star Wars Shatterpoint. Any tips on how to paint lightsabers in interesting ways?
So the problem with a lightsaber is that it has like a bright core, right? And so it's like hard to paint a bright core on a 3D object. And so I guess a cool way to do it would be to paint it linearly, where you have the gradient going from top to bottom. So would it be cool if a lightsaber was like really bright at like the hilt, the guard, the handle? It's all the same thing, really, with a lightsaber. Or would it be cool if it was bright at the tip? Maybe that's what I would try. Paint a corn cob on it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think lightsabers are an example of something that can't actually be painted in 3 dimensions because it's a optical trick.
Does it classify as an optical trick, or is it more just kind of like a... I don't know if that's an optical trick.
I think a lightsaber as it appears in games and movies could never appear that way in real life.
What? Why not?
Because something that emits light like that wouldn't go to white in the same way in your eyes. If you look at your red LED strip behind you, if you hold that up to your eyes, right? Like just max out as much lumens as you can get of that red light in your eyes, it'll still appear red.
I mean, that's just kind of true of any light source that's colored, right?
Right, and that's my point, is that we're talking about an optical trick that's in camera where we treat it as brighter goes whiter. And that's not actually necessarily true.
Okay.
And so that's why painted lightsabers always look wrong, because you just paint them the color that they're supposed to be. But in the films, it's like white surrounded by the color to try and represent more brightness, which is something that you can kind of do in miniature painting on something that isn't like a spherical object. You know, like we were looking at those OSL examples before, and you can kind of go up to white in something that's like a recessed area, and you can emulate that trick, but on a lightsaber, because it's just a rod, you could have one viewing angle that you can look at the mini and it works, and then as soon as you're off, it just looks like a weird edge highlight on a stick.
Gotta paint them 2D.
Yeah, that's the real secret. Replace the Shatterpoint minis with standees, and then you can have lightsabers that look right.
Or cut the thing off, or paint it all white, and then get a tube that can slide right over that white tube, and then paint it with Tamiya clear, and just
but like that well, I guess
it over.
That
would work.
Okay, no, you wouldn't paint it with Tamiya clear. You would need a polarized colored tube. So when you're looking at it from an angle, it has a lot more color, but when you're looking at it straight on, there's basically nothing.
You can just use a tube that you paint. It doesn't need to be fucking polarized. What are you talking about?
It needs to be polarized.
The thing about a lightsaber is that it's dark and colorful on the edges and bright and white in the middle.
Yes.
So if you get a little cover that's slightly bigger than your white cylinder, on the edges it will look blue and colorful, and in the middle it will look brighter and whiter. And that's
whiter. I'm saying if you added the polarized aspects to increase the difference between the center and the sides.
Just slap an LED on that light. Just slap an LED light on that bitch and call it done.
Yeah, true. I mean, that is legitimately a solution, which is
I've seen people do that before.
Clear acrylic rod with with a little bit of frosting on it.
Yeah.
And then colored LED.
Let me show you this, Chad. When I was making that sci-fi garage, at first I was gonna make a sci-fi lighthouse, because that sounds really cool. That would be a really cool thing to make for like a scratch-built building. But also then I was like, okay, for a lighthouse you need lights, and so I bought some LEDs. But I was scared. I didn't want to incorporate lights. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know like if I needed to use a certain amount of resistance. I'm not very good at soldering. You don't need to solder to use LEDs in your shit, but I thought that at the time. But I still bought some lights just on the off chance that I was going to use them. I need to show you this because they're just so tiny. Look at that.
Those are some really small lights.
I know. It's so... I don't know why there are 2 wires going to the LED.
There have to be.
That's true. There are 2 little terminals to attach it to. But yeah, like these are so tiny. Look at that.
Yeah.
Incredible.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Neferata would look really cool with the light inside her and all of the skulls actually having glowing eyes.
That would be cool.
But that would require it being made out of like a clear material or drilling a whole ton of holes in every skull.
Where did I get them? Amazon. Edgelec. It was the name of the brand. Not very helpful, but that is where I got them.
I can't imagine drilling out all the eyes.
It's more
Hashtag team fuck eyes.
It's more than just drilling out the eyes. Like you need to do so much more to get that to work. Well, I guess maybe it's hollow.
I would assume that Neferata kind of has a cavity in it.
Yeah, it kind of does. There's like a neck hole, but then the torso is filled, but then it's like kind of not filled. Like,
yeah, it would be pretty tough to do to get all of the skulls glowing. But on the other hand, you could drill straight through and just put a big light in the middle of the rib cage, and light would glow out from inside there, and it'd be fine.
Yeah, in the chest area.
It would be fine. It would look cool.
It'd be fine, chat.
It'd be fine. I definitely don't really want to do that again after putting lights in those dragons.
Yeah. But you did it one time.
I did it 4 times.
Well, yes.
Yeah. I'm not saying I won't put LEDs in other things. It's just that particular, like, really, really skinny fire-based thing. Big pain.
Bye.
It's true. It did look really cool when I ran over Rufus Kit's Cruel Boys at Adepticon.
Is there going to be an accent color beyond reds and blacks? It's just teal. That's the accent color. Or like a desaturated blue for my vampire army. If you remember, it is the scheme of America. Bright white and blue. I didn't actually end up using white that much more on my army, but there's a lot of white in the Blood Knights on their shields, and also the dire wolves have white fur. But I didn't end up using it really much, really anywhere else.
I mean, those ghosts are white.
That's
Kinda.
true. That's true. Maybe that counts. Instead of LEDs, just get glow sticks. Get glow sticks, open that up, and dump that glowing liquid all over the skulls. I remember when I was a little kid, I was chewing on a glow stick on my way home from like 4th of July, and at some point I had punctured the glow stick and was then consuming that glowing liquid. and it was like tasting bad. And then I realized, oh, I'm eating this stuff. I shouldn't be eating this stuff. Nothing bad happened, but it was still kind of a little Monka-esque.
Nothing bad happened. Yeah, I'm with Mr. Funkadizzle on this one. That explains a lot.
Did it give you superpowers? I freaking wish it did. Unfortunately, it did not. It just turned me into a fucking neurotic pedant. There's nothing worse than being apathetic, but also being a cynic. I believe nothing, but I don't care to do the work to figure out if anyone is right about anything, and so I just don't believe in anything.
Damn, where'd that come from?
It's just a thought I've been having lately. But I bet people can relate to that. I bet even you can relate to that a little bit, Evan. There's just some things that aren't worth figuring out.
I don't know if I relate to that part. I relate to the other half.
What was the other half?
The cynicism.
Oh, okay, sure. There aren't things in your life that are like just aren't worth your time to figure out, like for sure. Glow in the dark pea.
I think one of my fundamental traits is there's never been anything in my life that I have considered not being worth figuring out.
Wow, okay. This is the opposite of me.
It's a big problem though.
How does it manifest itself as a big problem?
It manifests itself as me diving down deep holes that it's not necessary. Just defer to someone who knows more about it.
Okay, so it's like a waste of time.
Kinda.
Dude, this arm can't move while I'm trying to edge highlight it.
Just take it off.
But it's like kind of stuck, It's like not.
I'm sure wiggling it back and forth definitely helps it.
You just told me to fucking take it off, and I'm demonstrating how it doesn't come off. This fucking guy, chat. What's the definition of a nihilist, Rufus Kid? I've definitely heard that term before. I don't know what it really means.
Nah, Scott's not a nihilist because a nihilist also says because all of this is temporary, none of this matters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I believe that to a certain degree, but it's definitely not like the driving reason why I am apathetic. I'm just lazy. Also, I feel like I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always as cynical as I am in my old age.
When did you say Skyrim came out again? Your first year of middle school?
When I was a freshman in high school.
Freshman in high school.
When I was 14.
Okay.
31. Yeah, I'm not an old man. I'm not an old man. Boop, boop, boop. I think what I'll do to finish off this black bone is just to hit it with a gloss varnish. Just to literally paint gloss varnish onto the bone. And that will just increase the contrast. Like no paint can do.
Yeah, and then it'll look greased up.
Greased up. Nothing matters in and of itself. You apply meaning to the things you want to have meaning. Okay. This is why I stopped working on Lady Oland. Oh, just because of the bounce. Yeah, my wife doesn't love when I drop everything to research how some random bullshit works. Yeah. Paulie Schlemazel. That's a fun name. Thanks for the raid. I feel a lack of meaning for about 45 minutes when I wake up. I'm posed value in a valueless world. I think all of this is temporary, so none of it matters in a good way. Like, why not make things the best they can be? Huh.
Or the worst they can be.
That's kind of fun. The EEAAO approach. Nothing matters, so be kind.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Ah, yes. What a great fucking movie. If you haven't seen that movie, do yourself a favor. If nothing you do matters, then all that matters.
All that matters is what you do.
All that matters is what you do.
Uh,
Is that a quote from the movie? Because it fucking should have been. That's a great line. I was a sophomore in high school when Skyrim came out. I'm 27. Okay, so I must have been younger.
came out in late 2011. So 12 years ago.
12 years ago, I was a 17-year-old. Okay, so I was a junior. I was older.
You could have been a sophomore or a junior, right?
Leaf Strider.
No, a junior or a senior.
Leaf Strider or me is lying right now. Widow Goblin got gifted a sub from Doom Swagger. Thank you.
Little Goblin. And
Alamo
6.
gifted sub as well.
People want us to do this giveaway this stream, I guess.
Yeesh. Yeesh. There's always a certain point in a paint job when you're like, oh, I'm within striking distance of this whole thing being done. And I kind of just realized that now. It's like when I paint this bone stuff and give it a gloss varnish and like highlight some of the skulls white, like those are the major things done on the model. And then from there, it's like, okay, I got to paint the throne. I got to paint some gems, maybe some like some filigree in the base. And those things are all pretty quantifiable. Like they're not huge tasks that are like scary or anything.
You know what else is very quantifiable? The fact that we just hit 50 subs thanks to a subscription from Scuba Steve and Rurgahamnomic.
That and the 48 other people that came before them.
Yeah,
Thank
which
you.
we called out all those too.
Yes. Appreciate the gifted subs, guys. All right, we're going to do a giveaway for a Miniac tee of the winner's choice, of course. And also a random grab bag of models that Evan just took out of my giveaway bin. Mike Genie with the 31 months. God diggity damn. Ow. Ah. Okay. I got some A24 shorts on right now, chat.
All right, giveaway's going. If you haven't heard the giveaway spiel before, well, here we go. Got to be a follower of the channel so we can send you a message at the end of it. That's the only restriction, other than the fact that if you know you live in a country where you're not allowed to enter a giveaway, don't enter. ! Moist in the chat. It's going to go for 20 minutes. And at the end of it, I will ping you and say, hey, say something in chat to prove that you're here. And if you don't say anything, we send a bomb to your house. No, wait, that's not right. We just pick another winner. Again, ! Moist to enter. Got about 19 minutes left. I will reveal that the minis are Frostgrave minis.
Ooh. Thank you, Rufus.
Rufus is correct.
Rufus, don't spoil it, okay? It's a fun experience.
I think it's even more fun if people lampshade it and know that it's happening again. Every week.
What does the verb lampshade mean?
Call attention to it. Like explicitly.
Does a lampshade do that for a light bulb or a light fixture?
I don't know. I don't know where the origin of that comes from, but it is to hang a lampshade on something is to call attention to it like more explicitly. Maybe it comes from putting a lampshade on your head to call attention to yourself.
Oh yeah, that sounds like that makes sense. Let me actually do a little more brushing.
AN says, I have a moist tattoo. Sorry, not sorry.
Do you? I want to see a picture of that. That'd be hilarious. The verb sense comes from the idea of making something more conspicuous by hanging a lampshade on it.
Nailed it.
making something more conspicuous. Not necessarily a light fixture, but just something.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you would make a light fixture no more conspicuous by putting a lampshade on it, but literally anything else, you would say, what's that lampshade doing on that thing?
Right, yeah.
So there you go.
It's the opposite of gaslighting. Okay, so I've definitely heard that term before, and so gaslighting is
How
like...
is it the opposite of gaslighting?
Gaslighting is like nothing is wrong, like, wait, so what does gaslighting mean?
Gaslighting just is someone telling you that your perception is incorrect, even though when it flatly is.
But also
Like-
being like nonchalant about it, right?
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, like, gaslighting can and does include acting like the person is in fact crazy.
Okay.
Which is where the term really originates from. So, like, me gaslighting you would be like, if we came in next week and you were like, yeah, last week's stream really went well, and I went, we didn't stream last week.
Right.
You know, just completely, no, well, that didn't happen, Scott. That's what gaslighting is.
Okay.
Not like everything is fine, but just straight up like, your memory, you can't trust that. That's false.
Okay.
Which is
This is what taking a college course with me was like. I just had to ask about what everything fucking meant. Because I can't proceed without knowing everything, or else I'm lost. Lampshading is the opposite of gaslighting in that you're calling objective attention to something in the heat of the moment. I don't know if it's exactly the opposite, but it does live on like kind of the opposite end of it, like definition wise. It seems like the opposite of
point,
gaslighting would be like convincing someone that like they were right when they were wrong, and they're kind of like sure that they're wrong.
Yeah,
like
the opposite of gaslighting would be like turning someone into Don Quixote. Yes, those are giants. You got it.
it's like, wait, no, I thought I was wrong. No, you're right.
No, you got it, man. 100%.
Keep it up.
The opposite of gaslighting is like hug box confirmation.
Hug box confirmation.
Yeah. You know, when you all get together and whatever the person says, perception is reality, 100%. You're right about everything all the time.
Please tell me that you just came up with the term hug box confirmation.
I didn't come up with either term. I combined them in a new and novel way that's definitely never been done before on the internet. Because the internet is a small community of like 9 or 10 people.
Yeah.
Moshe Horace Rex, not only do you get to see a stream for once, we're doing a giveaway right now.
Right now.
Right now! ! Moist to enter, as long as you're in a place that allows you to enter giveaways. Let's call it billionairing. Birds aren't real. The birds aren't real thing isn't gaslighting, by the way. I've seen it misattributed that way.
How is that not gaslighting?
Because it's not saying the birds that you see don't exist in physical space. It's saying what you think birds are is incorrect. And it's a fake conspiracy theory for those that don't know. They're not saying that like literally they're a figment of your imagination. They're saying that they're like spy drones, right? That actually it's a disguise and there's a secret.
Gaslighting is Scott trying to convince us of the B movie, and it's just as good as. And then Mike Genie says, "It's just the truth." That's not the definition of gaslighting. You're crazy if you think that. Gaslighting is saying that Oreo cakesters are bad. I mean, they are bad. I mean, they're not bad. They just kind of tasted like chemically. And it's like, why bother? Like,
They aren't bad. I just don't want to eat them.
Yeah, like surströmming is bad, you know? And if I want to eat a soft, chocolatey, artificially filled, chemically treat, I like Little Debbie's got me already, Oreo. Like, just go back to making a bunch of meaningless flavors like fucking wood chips. I don't know.
Now, wood chip Oreos would be a treat.
Yeah, I want like matcha fucking like cookie with like twig cream. I don't know. Like, there's so many fucking flavors of Oreo. It's ridiculous. I don't know what twig cream is.
No, Citizen Prefect, you've got it wrong. Those are oil lamps. Gaslighting was very popular when we were transitioning away from harvested oil lamps. Because the gas lines would leak. And then you'd get high on fumes. Is twig cream just syrup? Mike Genie says, twig cream is the name I'm putting on the back of my Miniac hockey jersey if they ever have it. Hell yeah.
Tasty kake, greater than Little Debbie. It sounds like a Japanese term for like shit. Isn't kake like poop in Japanese or some shit like that? Or it's some terrible term, isn't it?
You're thinking of bukkake.
Okay, tasty. He spelled it Kake.
Yeah, I think it's just tasty cake.
Why did you spell it with a K?
I don't know. Because it looks cool.
Oh, it's a thing. It's a real thing. Okay. I thought you were making something up.
Cake in Norwegian is cake. I'm so confused.
I'm dying. It's a proper noun. You didn't capitalize it. You just said. Okay. It's a Swedish thing.
In Germany, kake for poop. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's kaka.
Kaka. That's a
Poo-poo.
That's a Chinese professional Dota player.
Oh my god.
The Truman Show is one big gaslighting of Truman. Yeah, I suppose so. Randy B. Jiv. Thank you for this up. I should really paint. Okay. Let's do the glossiness. Do I want to do that now?
You got 30 minutes.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll do that now. I don't want to do super gloss. I want to do like a little bit of a satin. And I don't really use like varnishes a whole lot.
Remember to shake it.
Yes.
A lot.
I'm going to need to look for it as well, because I don't even know where I would have kept this stuff.
If you need me to grab mine, I've got my varnish in my car.
Oh, okay. That could work. I won't spend too much time looking for it then.
Yep.
That one's going to be super glossy.
It's in my top tray, so. Here we go.
Okay, let's see who wins. I know I can find, like, I can just use...
Eat my car keys, though.
God damn it! Okay, Chad, I won. Fuck it, we doing it live. Base Boomer! That's a funny name. Thanks to the Prime sub. I have a bottle of Liquitex satin varnish. Do you need a respirator when you use an airbrush? Total beginner. Based Boomer, this is a question you gotta answer for yourself. Do you want to be breathing in small, debatably harmful aerolized acrylic particles over time? How long do you airbrush for? What do you airbrush with? If you airbrush with enamels or more caustic things, maybe you should use a mask. I think it's better safe than sorry. I think you should. But yeah. Go visit people with COPD and hospice. Depends on how big you want your medical bills to be later in life. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, geez, you really bust in here, you know that?
That's what I do.
You're like the fucking Kool-Aid, man. There's a goddamn door, Evan. You know to break through it. All right. We got gloss. We got satin. The good old Vallejo variants. And we also have the Liquitex one. We'll put both in the palette because I have no idea how glossy or matte these are going to be. There is no rule about how in the middle satin needs to be. Got people in chat still talking about gaslighting. Varnishing without a mask is gaslighting your lungs into thinking they're breathing oxygen.
Sure.
I'm not going to airbrush this for what it's worth.
You're not gonna give yourself a nice little spritz right down the throat.
like the mouth breath stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a funny prank. Next time John's in here, I'm gonna give him some mouth spray. It's gonna be just fucking satin varnish. Such a good joke.
Got him.
This is payback for
Your teeth are matte now.
This is no one's talking about gaslighting, Scott. You're going insane.
Yeah. That's what gaslighting is. It's sitting next week saying, we didn't talk about gaslighting in the chat. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Scott, have you been taking your meds again?
Classic poisoning prank. Yeah. It's like when John, it's payback for when John got me to do smelling salts. You think gloss varnish, then eat the food comes out faster?
Hey.
Yeah.
This is like that episode of Simpsons where Homer like coats his mouth in wax.
Someone
to eat the
just
hot
said
peppers.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Homer coating
I'm
his...
not looking at chat, Chad. I'm standing right now.
Yeah. He used wax to help like prevent like spicy foods from hurting him or something.
Yeah, exactly. It was the legendary something pepper. And he touches it to his mouth and instantly screams in pain and runs away, and everyone laughs at him. And he's like, I have a solution. He just coats his mouth in candle wax. And then goes on like a vision quest because he hallucinates from how hot the pepper is in his stomach. Yeah, and he wins the chili eating contest. Guatemalan insanity pepper? Maybe. Sounds right. Speak for yourself, Rufus. I've never had a heart attack from eating spicy peppers.
Has Rufus had a heart attack from eating spice peppers?
He says, in real life, peppers that hot don't make you hallucinate. They give you a heart attack. I'm immune. That's what I have to say. I mean, there definitely is live stream footage of me doing the one chip challenge on an empty stomach at 8 in the morning. Or 7 in the morning, excuse me. And did not go well.
I imagine that would go very poorly for me as well.
Part of the key to eating very spicy food is having other food in your stomach.
That's where all the Hot Ones guests go wrong. They're like, oh, this is lunch, right? It's like, no, this is suffering. Welcome to hell. All right.
What is your favorite episode of that you've watched? I don't know how many you've watched, but...
My favorite. The funniest one is Eric Andre.
True.
Another funny one is TJ Miller. I don't mind. His one is pretty good. I like Andrew. Fuck, what's his name? News outlet guy who made a movie. He has some pretty insightful comments. Oh man, there's another one that I really didn't expect to be good. That was really good, and I think it was an actor. I can't remember what it is.
Andrew Tate?
Andrew Callahan.
Andrew Callahan.
Yeah. TJ Miller's a giant douche, though. I thought whenever I say something, you always shit on the things I like, man.
Screen door on the submarine, baby.
What did TJ Miller do now? Why can't I like him? There's some bullshit with Andrew Callahan too, right? Like didn't someone accuse him of being some kind of sex offender? I don't want to say anything. Like I don't know for sure, but that's unfortunate that is the case. Capsaicin doesn't really hurt you. It triggers a receptor in your body called TRPV1, which makes your body feel like it's 109F. I mean, you can kind of say that about pain too, right?
Lumberjack, I will tell you as someone who's had to be OC sprayed several times for training purposes, capsaicin definitely hurts you.
It's been fired from multiple shows for harassment and unprofessionalism.
Damn.
Tate. Andrew Tate is a sex trafficker.
Oh, yeah, that's the other guy.
Who's Andrew Tate? That name sounds so familiar. Who is that guy? Look it up.
That's the guy that's like been detained, isn't it? Who's in like Romania or whatever? Or am I thinking of someone else?
Maybe.
Yeah, he's the guy that looks like Pitbull.
Oh, I don't know.
And
this
got
guy.
arrested in Romania on sex trafficking charges, like, I don't know, 6 months ago or something.
Is he like a boxer or something? I have
He's
no
like
idea.
a fake Giga Chad. He's just famous for being famous. He's
Okay, I don't know this guy. Yeah.
he's not who you're thinking of, and he is. I can confirm, pretty douchey looking.
The satin varnish didn't do a whole lot. Kind of just stayed the exact same. Maybe I watered it down too much, but I'm gonna try the other one. Fun thing is, I don't know which one is which.
He lost track.
I have lost track. Scott passes the vibe check by not knowing who Andrew Tate is. Yeah, there are other dudes like that. I feel like the Here in My Garage guy is kind of like that, famous for being famous.
I want to point out something really important real quick. We got 1 minute left in the giveaway. So if you're interested in entering and you're in a country that allows it, hit !moist in the chat to enter a giveaway.
And don't go anywhere.
And don't go anywhere. Not a big ask at this point. If you enter and then you're like, peace out in the next 60 seconds. Did you really want to win?
Fool.
Rufus, I can tell you what to do.
Oh yeah, Gary V kind of has some of that energy, but he generally has some pretty good takes. At least from what I heard. The thing is, I feel like a lot of people I like hear say good things, and then like they do dumb shit, but I don't hear about that dumb shit, and then I like quote that thing that person who's an idiot said, and then it's like, oh, Scott, do you know that person is an evil person? It's like, fuck, no, I didn't know that. I remember that one thing they said.
All right, Mr. Funky Dizzle, we're doing it. I'm starting a prediction.
Wow, see, look at that. I put this other one on, and just look, it makes that area right on the forearm so dark, and where I applied that modeled highlight just lighter, you know? It's like I'm not even painting, really. I'm just applying a varnish, and it's just doing all this work for me for free. Best way to highlight Team M gold with a brighter gold.
All right, before I pick the winner, we're doing a quick prediction here.
When you highlight yellow, do you use light gray?
Will the first winner be here? I want to see that 20K on no.
Tate bragged about sex trafficking and cried when he got busted. I can think of literally no greater human crime than the trafficking of another human being. Sexually, for labor, for anything.
I can, but it's not a crime that's feasibly committable.
Sure. Like, that is one thing that really upsets me. Which is why a lot of the times when we do, not a lot of the times, but the one time we did a 24-hour stream, we gave to a organization that helped fight sex trafficking. And I bet you all feel it's the very same way. It's a very disgusting human crime, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it a habit. That seems sad.
Yeah, habit definitely doesn't capture. I just can't stop sex trafficking.
I know. It's just like I hope that is not.
I just keep going back to my defaults, kidnapping people to sell them into slavery. Shucks.
Tate got caught because of a pizza box.
That is actually true, supposedly. Where they identified a pizza box in a photo and were able to get his location by contacting that restaurant.
Wow.
But, you know, it's internet true. All right.
So if the police call you up and they're like, you have to tell us who ordered a pizza that looks like this and where they live, are you obligated to tell them? Or can you be like, no, I don't want to?
You're not obligated to tell them anything unless they provide you with a subpoena for the information. Not legal advice.
A subpoena?
Yeah, that's a court order that says you have to tell us this.
Okay.
Or give us this or whatever.
Kind of same thing as...
And also, yeah, this is in Romania, not the United States, so who knows? But
okay.
It's illegal to lie to the FBI, Mike Genie. It is not illegal to withhold information from the FBI. It's the weird thing. Police are allowed to lie to you. You're not necessarily allowed to lie to them, but you are allowed to just not tell them anything unless you have a court order that says you have to. Anyway, let's pick our first winner.
The police are allowed to lie to you.
Oh, man. We're about to blow Scott's mind. Lummox Beast, 75.
Okay, that's an easy one. Yeah, well, we don't need to talk about that. But it grinds my gears.
I'm going to laugh when Lummox Beast isn't here.
Lummox Beast, I swear to fucking God, brother.
There we go. He's here. All right.
Peepo, fuck!
See, gambling is fun.
Instead of talking about how the police can lie to you, let's talk about what the difference between pink, brown, and white noise is when it comes to game randomization.
Game randomization?
Right. So,
I don't think that... Oh, man. Can we apply gradiated curves based off of human hearing perception to dice rolls?
yes, you can. And it's been done by people that are much smarter than me. I'm only the messenger of the information.
I think that they're lying to you.
Okay, maybe. See, that's the thing. Being a cynical person, anyone can be lying to me at any moment. That's what I believe.
All right, Lummox Beast, you know what time it is.
You know what time it is.
Time for the second half of the bit. Which is what I just typed. I need your address, your name, your email address, and which shirt and in what size you would like that shirt to be.
Anyways, pink noise is this idea that there are many small benefits that happen very frequently, but the big benefits don't happen as frequently. They do happen.
What I'm saying is tradition.
That is like a very common human pattern. And it like exploding sixes on a dice is an example of that. It's like you can roll any other figure you want on a die and it does something. But when you roll a 6, crazy things happen. But it doesn't happen that often. That is pink noise randomization.
That's not right.
It is right.
I hate this. That is like explicitly not what that's supposed to be.
It is explicitly what it is supposed to be.
No! Scott, stop gaslighting me.
I'm not. I mean, I watched a chat from a MIT game design professor. He talked about pink noise. He showed the graph of it, and that was his example. And I'm just relaying it.
Right, but do you know what actual pink noise is?
Yeah, so I know what like I'm now having to remember what he said in that chat that was about game randomness, about audio and what the noise wave actually looks like. But
right, so okay, so white noise is the same amount of noise everywhere in the spectrum, basically.
That's white noise, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so pink noise is adjusted based off of human hearing.
Okay.
So it's adjusted based off of hearing perception.
Hey, I'm not saying how this relates to the audio version of pink noise. That's just what pink noise in randomization was as defined by Jeff Engelstein. I'm not saying it has anything to do with the audio noise. It's related in some way, but I can't remember what it was. Did you learn that in a computer science class? No, I did not. White noise, when it comes to RNG in a game, is when you know nothing about, the current state of the game has nothing to do with what is coming to come. So it's like, what was the example he used? It's like you're playing an economics game, and at the beginning of the turn, you flip a card, and that determines the state of the economics in the game. Like nothing that happened prior affected the economics for the turn, the tiles or the cards I flipped. It just is random. That's white noise randomness, according to that guy. I forget what brown noise means though.
Galvanite says, "Is Evan the actually guy personified, but not annoying?" Yes to the first part, no to the second part. I'm definitely annoying.
Brown noise is when you roll so many sixes you shit yourself. Scott, that's the poo noise. Yeah, so many poop jokes. Jeff Engelstein is a great game designer. He is, although I haven't played many of his games, but I have heard of them. Pink noise is randomness that is usually expected to be similar to the current or base state, but may now and then produce a hugely different outcome. Yes. Scott is also quoting Goonhammer on this as well. Oh, Goonhammer has done an article about that. That's cool. Without knowing it, I actually bought Jeff Engelstein's book on games, science, and mathematics. I forget what it's called, Game Tech. Apparently there's a podcast called The Dice Tower, and there's a segment on that podcast called Game Tech. And Jeff Engelstein is the guy who hosts that segment on Dice Tower. Brownie and Noise, thank you. Yes, there it is. Did you watch Aliens? Because Dark Descent is awesomely familiar for a game. I haven't, actually, you know what? I haven't seen Aliens. Alien 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
You should.
I do plan to watch it at some point.
Watch it right now. We're ending stream, so you can watch Aliens.
How do you know Scott has no knowledge of the hobby board game community? There's a podcast called The Dice Tower. I know the Dice Tower has a YouTube channel, and obviously I've seen the Dice Tower badge on board games at my LGS, and I've seen that for years. And I know they make like roundups of games and stuff and like rate stuff. So I kind of just thought it was a YouTube channel. But as someone who doesn't really consume podcasts much, I didn't know that it was a podcast. Sorry.
I'm so fucking confused. Lummox Beast, I whispered you on the Miniac account, and you haven't responded there, which is where you should respond.
It's a YouTube channel primarily. It's an entire network of podcasts as well.
No. This is destroying me.
You'll be okay. Not knowing is not a negative. Okay, sorry. I kind of always hear that as a criticism. I feel the need to know all things and be omniscient in my chosen sector. But yeah, I was familiar with the YouTube channel because I've watched a couple of videos from them, but not many. It didn't really ever stick. You guys know when you like trial a YouTube channel and you're kind of like, okay, I'll watch one. It was pretty good. And then like another one pops up in your feed. And you're like, okay, it's pretty good. You know, you're not subscribing yet. You know. But then when you watch like 3 or 4 or 5, it's like, okay, this is worth my time. And then you sub. Guess he's not present. All next beats, you're fired.
For real.
Ignorance of something is not a negative. It becomes a negative when you refuse to rectify the ignorance. Ah. Never known you to be that guy. Well, I appreciate that.
Who took my Post-it notes?
I did.
Scott.
I'll go find it. I had to do something with UPS. And that was the closest thing I could write on.
Unreal.
I bought the pen back though, didn't I?
Yeah, the pen is here.
How useless. Just right on the desk, Evan.
I mean, I could just write it on my hand, but I can't leave that for Amber. Just leave my hand with a nice note on it.
Oi! Stealing Post-it notes is nothing sacred.
Stealing Post-it notes he provided. I ain't paying for no Post-it notes for Scott's office.
God damn. I think what I'm doing right now is largely useless. But I'm committed at this stage. It does make it a little bit more satin. And on some flatter areas, it definitely ups the contrast in a meaningful way. But everywhere else, it's kind of useless. Whatever. Worth a shot.
Lumix Beast, you have a last name that I would love to know the origin of. Don't have to tell anyone in chat, just making commentary.
Is this model or Celestine the bounciest model? I'm not sure, but Celestine definitely came up last stream when we were
Talking about bouncy.
talking about bouncy.
Which one's the classic shirt, Scott?
It's the one with the logo, the Miniac logo on it. That's black.
Just logo. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Gesundheit. Write it on your hand, take a picture, email it to Amber. That would work probably.
That's true. I once had a coworker with the last name Schlammedinger. He was a former cop, too, which makes it even better. Officer Schlammedinger. Actually, deputy is funnier. Deputy Schlammedinger.
Yeah. That's an unfortunate last name. What can you do? My dread abyssal can't see.
Evening, the Lely. Wait, what? You can't you see?
My dread abyssal can't see.
Oh. It doesn't need to see.
Okay.
The skulls do the seeing and tell it what to do.
Ah. All right. Let's get a bigger brush for these larger areas of bone now. I'm not going to care too much to paint the underside of the legs with the gloss varnish, because again, no one's going to really see that. Sometimes I fall into the trap of the hero that I'm painting. Heroes are a great excuse to try hard, to paint a model really well. But the tricky thing is when you're painting a model this gigantic, or like a Tree Lord, or Durthu from like the Sylvaneth range. If you really spend a lot of time on that model, it's going to take you like a long time. Like it'll take you like this model, I would say, is a little bit more tedious to paint than a display model, just because there's not a ton of flat surfaces, and trying to get like nice volumetric blends over all of these crazy volumes, all these bone volumes, would take a very long time. And so we say this all the time, but it mostly applies to like just your standard models and units. But for a character this large in an army, you also can cut a lot of corners and air quotes speed paint. Speed paint is really a relative term, which means that it kind of depends how slow or fast of a painter you are. Like my 1 hour paint job is very different than the next hobbyist's 1 hour paint job. So the techniques that I'm employing right now, to me, and for my hobby, are speed painting. They're faster than what I would be doing if I really wanted to give this model all my attention and love. But it doesn't mean it's fast in the grand scheme of things. Do you ever varnish for protection? I don't. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't, but I just don't. Maybe I should. You know what? I shouldn't say I don't, because I definitely have varnished my Guild Ball team, or some of the members of that team. When I used to have like Dull Coat from, was it Tamiya? Testers made Dull Coat. I would kind of just spray everything in Dull Coat, and that was like, whatever, good enough. I'm not sure if it really protected my paint jobs much, because I just put on like one layer, but that's what I did.
Dinging. I don't want to ding.
You constantly are dinging, Evan.
Yeah.
It's one of your character traits.
Not as much recently. It's a good thing I left my ringer on. That fire I had to put out in the middle of the stream was a pretty big one.
A literal fire?
No, but if there had been a literal fire, it would have been very bad for the client and me.
Private Richard Schlammadinger is my next D&D character for sure. I think I'll go with Detective Twig Cream. All right, we got some glossier, more satiny bone now. It's actually, I think I missed the rib cage on this side. It's nice. It stands out from the skulls a little bit more too, just because like I use matte paint in general, but also I think oil paint often has or not often, but when you apply it super thinly with like an oil wash, it tends to look pretty matte, which is why it also works really well as rust. Like if you need like a rust effect, get like a super bright orange paint and like apply it with a lot of mineral spirits, and it sinks into all of the recesses like rust tends to do.
He means oil paint, by the way.
What did I say?
You just said paint.
Oh, my bad.
To be clear, don't try and mix a bunch of mineral spirits into an acrylic paint. You will not get the results you're looking for. Right.
Oil paint, a nice bright orange oil paint, or even like a brown red rusty one, or even both. You could do both. That looks like rust really greatly, and it also is like very dusty looking too, which is great for rust. All right, a little bit more satiny. I like.
That was my nickname in grade school, Satiny Bone.
Satiny Bone. Burnt sienna. Oil paint is ideal for us because the pigment is made from oxide, which is literally rust. There you go.
Got him.
Fucking A.
A lot of pigments are oxides, though. Titanium oxide's an oxide. That's white.
I see you're inviting the kitten to a Song of Ice and Fire night.
Kitten won a couple of song boxes and said that they were going to join us at some point for Song of Ice and Fire night.
Please do.
I mean, I shouldn't say us because Scott hasn't come to Song Night in a while.
This is true.
Boo.
I am a piece of shit.
I don't think I'd go that far.
Colts Pinks. 1, 2, 3. Thanks for the prime sub. Appreciate it. No, I haven't been in a while. That's definitely true.
It's going to be a qualifier at the store, and I'm going to run it.
Oh, cool.
Malev is rating us.
Malev,
your timing is bad.
Malev, you son of a bitch. Thanks for the raid.
But we love the love. Just like we love your game.
Your game was a lot of fun, Malev.
Malev says, my timing is perfect. I think your flow is perfect.
Flow. A shinobi arrives precisely when he means to.
Sure.
All right, Gandalf. Ninja Gandalf. What would Gandalf's name be if he was a ninja?
Probably Gandalf.
I thought it would be something more like
He just wouldn't be Gandalf the Grey. He'd be Gandalf the Ninja.
Gandalf the Grey Ninja. You're no fun, Evan. Model's looking hype. Thank you. Just did that. We did a red oil wash today with all like the skulls, and so like they look nice and not glowy per se, but they got like kind of glowing eyes and mouth and stuff. It's a lot of fun. I missed some satin varnish right there. Gandalf the Black Belt. Okay. I got some trim here to paint. I think I have some, I actually have some more bone detail on the helmet to paint. I don't want to paint it black though. I think maybe I'll paint some of it black and then I'll paint the rest of it as if it's like gold trim, just to kind of be more fun with it. So we'll start that. Maybe we won't start that. Well, I got the black out, so I'll do that. Okay, what should be the black and what should be the gold for this little head cover thing? Well, okay, this is actually a good opportunity. I feel like Ashton Gray was too dark of a gray to apply Iron Painter Grim Black on top of and like end with a satisfying gray color. So let's try a different color and just see if we get a more convincing effect with like the bone thing on the Abyssal Dread's helmet. For some reason I didn't paint that part black or gray when I was painting it originally, but that gives us a chance to do another test. I'm like obsessed with finding the perfect gray paint to make painting black very easy. And I suspect that it depends on what kind of thing you're painting, but
the hell
ever.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, let's fix that.
I don't have any more gray paints. I want a paint that's kind of satin as well. I don't really have any. They're kind of all matte. So we'll just mix up our own with some Abaddon Black from GW, which is pretty friggin' satin. Pretty frig. All right. Maybe I'll mix a little bit of satin varnish into the paint just to juice it up even more. All right, it's kind of like a medium gray, Codex gray for any people who used the Citadel paint range back in the day. Glossy black, Vallejo Game Color black. Man, unfortunately, game color is no longer glossy. It's actually a damn shame. It's so fucking mad. But I do have the old VGC black, and you are right. It is very glossy.
Dirty laundry black.
Dirty laundry black. This is actually a little bit brighter of a gray. Oh, this is all one thing. Okay, damn it. I guess it's all gonna be black. There's a good chance this is gonna end up looking different than the rest of the bone, which is okay. How am I supposed to fucking hold this model? I feel like I'm just destroying the paint job constantly. There's just so many like little pointy bits, and I know that the pointy bits are the ones that like to flake off the most.
Yes.
Right on the edge. Got to go, handsome moist boy. Have a sweet painting, Sej. Thank you. The An. Appreciate you being here. Woo! Just finished my very first Warhammer models. A box of orc knobs. It's not Miniac quality, but I think they look fairly reasonable. I think that's honestly more than anyone can ask for. Just being happy with what you painted. And honestly, that isn't more than you can ask for. That's what you should shoot for. That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that.
Scott, would you say it's better to be happy with what you paint and never strive for another level, or be unhappy with what you paint but constantly be improving and striving for another level?
I think it depends on who you are, but I would say happy with how you paint. I think I might have said something different if you asked me that same question like 4 years ago.
I think I agree with both parts of your response.
Thank God I passed the quiz.
Yeah, there's only a correct answer and a wrong answer. Doesn't matter what the question is or how opinion-based it is. The Spain of Plastic says that's my goal, just to be satisfied and try new things with each model.
Yeah. Luckily, in reality, we can have both. You can. I think I do both. I think I paint in ways that's just fun for me, and then I'm able to really buckle down and try something new, see if I can improve. And the annoying part about painting these spiny, bony things is you gotta just attack them from all angles. So many tiny little recesses. What paints am I using? I'm using a whole bunch of different paints. Some Citadel, some Scale 75, some AK Interactive. I have a Army Painter speed paint that I use on this model. I also used a Tamiya panel liner on the model. I used a oil paint from a brand called Sennelier. I think the original red color is actually a Chimera red. It's just called the red. Not very helpful, but a lot of different products. I'm kind of just experimenting on some stuff. No Monument? No, I haven't used much Monument.
I'm the monument man around here.
Monument Man.
Monument man.
The armor transition is nice. Thank you. Yeah, that was done with an airbrush, I believe, originally eons ago.
Ah, yes. It's 410.
I have to try a scale at 75. I've heard some good things. Yeah, they're nice and creamy. They're great for wet blending, and they're also great for glazing on top of. Matte paints are phenomenal for glazing on top of. So any range like that is going to be good for that operation, but scale 75 especially, it's very matte. Almost one of the mattest. Almost 420, almost. All right, y'all, we're going to head out. Thanks for hanging out for this kind of chiller stream. Chatting about pink noise, brown noise, white noise. Chatting about the B movie, the Matrix. It's been fun.
We talked about the Matrix? I don't remember that.
We did. We brought it up. It was briefly.
Are we gonna raid someone?
Always.
We got options. We got Marco. We got Monument. We got, I don't know, other stuff. Hang on.
Ah!
Mohawk. Deep Game Spain. Ooh. Yeah, non-English streams. That's what I'm talking about.
I wouldn't mind doing Marco again.
Yeah, we can raid Marco. We were kind of on the theme of oils, and he's Mr. Oils.
There we go.
I don't think he's doing oils, though. I think he's airbrushing.
Oh, okay. Well, if you do have questions about oil paints, he is the one to ask. Although we did kind of nix that line of questioning a while ago. All right. We're going to send you over to Marco Frazzoni, who is another YouTuber and a great painter. There's a lot of really cool, interesting things. His approach to painting is very different than mine, so it's going to be good to see a little bit of a different take on some stuff. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Appreciate you guys. We will not be streaming a game this week, but we will be painting next Tuesday. So come hang out for that and see me slowly paint Neferata. Very fun.
That's right. Neferata has to be finished someday.
Oh yeah, someday. And then when she's done being painted, I will sit down for a video and I will paint all 20 Graveguard. And then my 2K points of SBG will be done. Right. Very fucking pog.
That's pretty sick.
I know. All fully painted and base. I can't wait to see it. All right, y'all. Yeah. We'll see you later next Tuesday. Thanks for all the support, all the bits, all the subs. I appreciate it a lot. Peace.